May the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect. Today's message, Aman. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi, ¿cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi, ça va? Ni hao, namaste, osayana kitawiya, ohio, I see you, minute, ugwan, kamsamida, aloha, ciao, ensemble, abaragane, akwaba, madaase, itase, Jambo, Vivini Kofi in the Farah Kukatan on the Wewe, Boker Tov, Boker Tav, Grand Rising, greetings, welcome, Barakadat Shem Yahava, Shalom, Anai Kwafai, Kwachet to Servant of Christ, Mashalom Chi, Kwam Yahad Shal, at Zion. Shalom, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, being a voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for joining us again, especially those who joined us on Early Rise of Bible Study session. Today, we're appreciative and grateful and thankful to have each and every one of you with us on this rising. We do have the Early Rise of Bible Study session. The link is up in the YouTube, or it's on YouTube. It's on Patreon, and it is in the Facebook group. Praise God. So if you're looking for that, feel free, or if you want more information or how to find it or whatever, you can feel free to do that whenever you have the opportunity to. But thank you all for being on. Appreciate, love you. Thank you for spending some time with us one more again. And we're excited and thankful and grateful to continue where Yah has us in this series called Hashtag A Safe Place. A reminder, I'll be off tomorrow and Wednesday, although there'll still be some content that'll be put out there, but I will be off officially tomorrow and Wednesday. I believe Elder Select Tamara is going to be preaching on that's Tuesday, tomorrow evening, and I believe you'll be able to meet on Zoom with Minister Shante and Apostle Dr. Tamach on Wednesday. So please, man, please, sir, feel free to be part of that, be on Zoom, be on social media, and thank you all for everything that you all are doing. Let's continue to support one another. Yesterday was Sunday, which is when we do our 5 to 10. So if you guys are committed to that, thank you for those who are. Feel free to make sure you're part of the 5 to 10 program, and let's continue to build. And please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification tab, let others know that we're on. All right, because even though we are somewhat kind of suppressing numbers and stuff like that, we still do have great content, and we do want others to know that we're still around no matter what's going on, TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. We're still here, and we're still expanding. Praise Yah. All right. We once again give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Love you, babe. Thank you for all that you do. To the moderators, secretary, ministerial staff, SOC, first time listening, one time of many. If you question everything that we say, if you question some of the things, if you're with us, if you're against us, whatever the case might be, we are honored and thankful and grateful to have an opportunity to speak in front of you one more again. And once again, thank you to everybody for doubling up on our Early Rise of Bible Study session we'll have today. And then, of course, we'll be live in the evening. And then I'll be off tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday. But please look at SOC stuff and things that will be posted in multiple platforms, such as Lemonade, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, IG, and others as we continue to grow. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love y'all. Hopefully everybody is doing well. And thank you for being with us. We're going to get ready to say our Bible pledge. So if you're able to stand to your feet and reverence Yahweh's word in any kind of way, we're thankful and grateful. Thank you to everybody who's joining us, whether you're joining us live or joining us later on. Thank you for being on the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Let's say shalom to everybody as we get ready to say our Bible pledge. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Beck? Minister Tracy, Sister Felicia. I believe, Sister Felicia, if you're the same one that had the question in the SOC group, we did something special for you and posted it in the comment section for your initial post. So if you're one and the same, you should be able to find the answer there. If you're not, Felicia, if you hear this, when you hear this, feel free to look. How you doing, Sister Jennifer? How you doing, Brother Craig? Old Servant, Sister Iska, Darius, Sister Shirley, Sister Judith, Rodney, Michelle, Lottie Dyer, everybody. How you doing, Jen? It's been a minute, but we're glad to have you back on. D Brands, Hold Down Snip. Is it Twan? Craig, I think I said Shalom already. How you doing, Susan? Is it Kobe Bryant lives? Okay. Michael Hayes, Chris, Ferme Rich, Melissa, Gomez, Sister Greta, Darnisha, Black Fox Body, Emmanuel, Dr. T, everybody. Line down, everybody come on in. We're grateful and thankful to have you guys on all these platforms. Thank you so much for being on with us. Again, how you doing, Sister Nakia, Tabitha, Shalom, peace, everybody. Alrighty. So let's go ahead. We'll say our Bible pledge and we'll jump right in, continue this series called hashtag a safe place, where we're talking about making a safe place. And for us, it's not just virtual, it's reality. So let's get it. All right, let's get it. Excuse me. All right. We'll say our Bible pledge and get started. You can just repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahashua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Acham Yehavah. Aman. Aman. You may be seated to go back to what you're doing in the presence of the Most High Yah. Thank you for being on with us one more again. How you doing, Keith? William? TJ, everybody coming in, come on in. All right, today, hashtag a safe place. We're gonna talk about a safe place for you. Aman. A safe place for you. We want to create a safe place for you, and any organization that you're part of, especially if we're talking about the kingdom, if it's kingdom minded, should be trying, and we're talking about to make no bones about it, or the kingdom of heaven, right? Or the kingdom of Israel, so to speak, right? The kingdom of heaven, anything attached to it should be a safe place for you. Amen. And if it's not a safe place for you, what are we doing? Now, somebody says, well, duh. You mean you're going to talk for hours about a safe place for you, for moi, for me? Yes. Right? We're talking about a safe place for you. How you doing, Minister Yesai? Why is it that we must have a safe place for you? There must be a safe place for you, because as much as this is going to mess with some person's theology somewhat, right? Some person's going to say this is kingdom sense, not common sense, and I get it, but I need to make sure I say this because we have gotten so enamored with and played around with so much the idea that you are nothing, that it's hard for persons to work in the kingdom, because if you are part of a kingdom, and you do what the kingdom requires, then the kingdom not only benefits the Most High, it also should benefit you. How you doing, Sister Sheila? Shalom? Right? I'm going to say that again because it's a truth. And it's going to be hard for some to accept. Some are going to try to say, I'm all over the place. Some are going to say, see, he's about you. He's speaking prosperity. And look, you should prosper. But that's not what I'm talking about. Right? And prosper more than just financially, by the way, as well, right? But if we're building a kingdom and a nation, right? No society is greater than the individual. No individual is greater than the society. This is why the Bible calls you fellow heirs with Christ. You're fellow heirs with Mashiach, with Mashiach, right? If you're going to be fellow heirs with him, then guess what? If you're going to be fellow heirs with him, guess what? Being fellow heirs means what? Hear me, beloved. Being fellow heirs means what? What does it mean? If I tell you, right, the Bible says it, but I'll just, reference it. How you doing, Sister Mignon? If you are a fellow heir, what does that mean? In a commonwealth, in a kingdom. If you're a fellow heir to what the Messiah has, then what does that mean? Oh, beloved, come on. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna mess with the old mindset. We're gonna throw away that we're gonna stop being conformed to the worldly mindset and be transformed by the renewal of your mind today. That's right. So we have an inheritance. We've inherited something. We're side by side even. Come on. That's some great words. Friends with, okay, hey, I no longer call you servant, I call you friend. That's in line with the word. What else? See, we're talking about fellow heirs. If you are a fellow heir, what are you? What does that mean for you and your family? What does that mean for your walk? What does that mean for your business? You are royal descendants. Come on. How you doing, Sahar? Thank y'all for the love, right? And if you'd like to, please feel free to give a donation to us. Kofi, you can say what it's for as well, so we can make sure we track it. You can do so at $find Kofi and the number one, FIND KOFI, the number one. And thank you in advance if you are doing that, right? But your fellow heirs, we belong to the Most High, amen. So what the Most High has is ours. We're His children. How you doing, Sister Monica? And if we are His children, if I live in my Father's house, that means that I get what my Father has. Come on. let's make this kingdom sense, not common sense. I live in my Father's house, right? My son lives in my house, right? That means if any food is brought in the house, my son has access to food. Not every food, not every drink, of course, blah, blah, but you get what I'm saying, right? If something's in my house, my son is going to be an heir of it. Matter of fact, if I own a house or I own land, that means that my son will inherit what I own. We're talking kingdom, not capitalism, not what we got out of the hood, not what mama and them said, okay, once you turn 18, once daddy said you turn 18, you got to go. You got to have your own, no inheritance. If you get an inheritance, you get whatever I have left over when I die. No. We're talking kingdom. You are a fellow heir in a kingdom, a king's domain. By royal decree, you must be taken care of. That means that when we put our faith in the kingdom, the works that we put together should be something that's building us up so that you can have a safe place for you. If we're talking about a safe place for a nation and a community, then there must be a safe place for you, beloved. You said, yes, I've healed and prophesied, plus more and learning more daily. Okay. All right. Right? So in a safe place, there should be a safe place for you. And I'm saying, I'm going to reiterate it over and over again because many of us have been taught to believe that we are supposed to be nothing but wretched worms. Right? Right? I'm just wretched. I'm a wretch. I'm a worm. Oh, there's nothing from blah, blah. And a lot of times when we use this stuff, we use it out of context because even when persons are saying these things, a lot of times there's mourning going on. I'm not saying every single time, but let's be honest. So, when somebody's mourning, they're saying things that they feel in the moment, but it doesn't mean that's ultimately what Yah wants them to be or where He wants them to stay. Still struggling with sleep? Amen. We're praying for you. I need to reach out to you too. I'm sorry, Sister Monica. We're going to get this under control. Right? Did you hear what I'm saying? Right? Like, this is a safe place for you. But this is why also too this has to be a mindset, and we have to have laws in place because laws don't give rights, they protect rights. So what I often find is that persons church hop, or they go from place to place, or we do a whole bunch of stuff prematurely, or we move without actually making sure that we actually comprehend what's going on, or we pick and choose certain things that we like and we move on them. And what happens is we make these movements and these choices, usually, how you doing, Unique? Usually because we have decided that we're not going to be obedient to things put in place to protect us, right? And the law was never designed to make you be wretched. The law was designed to keep you holy. The law was designed to make a safe place for you. Aman, yeah, we're going to teach. Come on, daughter, we're going to teach, right? You hear what I'm saying? The law was designed to make a safe place for you. Right? If you my spiritual child, some of you are okay with being called such. You don't have to be. You can be my brother, my sister, whatever the case. You can be part of SOC, part of the family, part of the community, however. But if you my spiritual child, my responsibility is to make a safe place for you. Right? You should feel safe in conversations with SOC. You should feel safe in teaching. You should feel safe in meetups. You should feel safe in your mind. You should feel safe in your heart. You should know that somebody cares for you. And I don't want to skip over you and all these great teachings and all this stuff. We should feel safe. How you doing, Bradley? Right? Right? We don't want to separate from the customs of Yah. We want to separate from the traditions and customs of man, because that is what has not made you feel safe. Right? Man has came up with a bunch of different things, and you don't feel safe in what man has built. Praise Yah. I see you. I'm on, right? Do you hear what I'm saying, beloved? Right? Like, man has made a bunch of stuff to where you thought safety was going to be in there. They told you, they taught you that if you got the degree, everything would be safe. Is it? How you doing, Sister Shima? They didn't tell you that when they were talking about degrees are things dealing with masonry. A degree of knowledge, the third degree, second degree, first degree, 32nd degree, 33rd degree. Right? You thought if you got a degree of knowledge, you would feel safe. Right? They taught you how to date, didn't they? And then if you dated correctly, if you dated how they say date, if you followed all the stuff that they're saying on YouTube and Facebook, et cetera, and you went to all these different places that you're spending your money on to make sure that you sit down and go through all the stuff or whatever, to hear things or whatever, you knew in your heart that you would be safe. But then come to find out that a date has a date on it. Right? See, watch this. I have no clue. Really, I do have a clue. When is my marriage going to end? I know when my marriage ends. You don't know when your date ends, do you? But you were taught more about dating and still are taught more about dating. And I think there's a lot of advice that we should listen to. I listen to a lot of the dating stuff that comes on from the man's perspective and the woman's perspective. I try my best diligently to keep up with a lot of stuff. I try to keep up with the pop stuff if I can. I try to keep up with what our children are watching and playing and all this stuff, right? But marriage is something that, hey, there is no expiration date on this. I don't know when this expires. I know that I love until it expires. Technically, it doesn't even expire once I pass away, because my wife and I are going to see each other in heaven again, and we'll still be working together in the kingdom, whether it's as husband and wife anymore. As far as what we know it probably won't be exactly like that. Matter of fact, it won't exactly be like that, but I'm still going to be connected. Right? So my mindset on marriage is way different than my mindset on dating, but you've been taught to flip it, and that's not a safe place for you. Oh, thank you, late coming. Appreciate that. And I saw you putting some stuff on earlier. I wasn't ignoring you. I just want to make that clear. If anybody was putting comments up on stuff, we were doing an early riser Bible study session. It's a different format. Normally we do it in a different place. So that's why I wasn't answering as much, just to let y'all know. Amen. Amen. I kind of, when I'm teaching, not saying everybody has to do, when I'm teaching on Zoom or for early riser Bible study session specifically, I treat that a little different than we treat everything else, just to let you know. But I did see great comments and great things that were being on. I apologize if I didn't get to them as much. It's just a different format. But thank you all for coming back on. Appreciate, love you. I appreciate you. Right. So, I want to make this clear. See, Yahweh is looking for us to do things at a higher level, and He's looking for you to be safe. Right. And I speak. I don't always do this. I'm doing it more and more, but I speak this, and I speak this wholeheartedly with my whole chest, 10 toes down. Say it with your chest, Kofi. Right? Anyone, any man, woman, child, demon, spirit, false angel, wicked angel, etc. Any person, any being that tries to come against your safety, we speak curses upon their life. Acham Yahweh. We speak that your places that you're in, they become dry, right? We speak curses upon you. We heap hot coals upon your head. Acham Yahashva. Acham Yahweh. Acham B'Vach. Because our responsibility is to make a safe place for anyone coming in. It's important. And I'm sorry, TikTok. The signal, I hope the signal doesn't end up being bad. If it is, I'll try to play around with the signal, but I don't really have too many different things. I see it's going in green and yellow, so hopefully it's not too bad a signal for you all today. Right? But I want to make this very plain, that our responsibility here is to make a safe place, because Yah said it. Right? Our responsibility here is to make a safe place. Why? Because Yah said it. It's our King's decree is safety. Anything that's going to be done to make our people unsafe is not going to exist here, or if it does exist here, it will be fought and fought vociferously. All right, thank you. You hear what I'm saying? I want that to be known. I want it to be known. And I want it to be known because a lot of persons don't know that there's a lot of stuff I do know about. And we're giving opportunity for persons to grow. But there's coming a time to where, hey, you're going to have to be dealt with. And things will be spoken over your life. And not just that, if somebody got to show up, if somebody got to sit down, if somebody got to do whatever, including with myself, nobody is in a position to make anybody not feel safe. Now, I didn't say you can't be pushed. I didn't say that we can't say some things that might make you feel like, hey, I don't know if this is a safe place, right? I didn't say that you can't question anything. What I'm saying is that we are not going to allow anything to enter into the kingdom, at least through the branch that we're part of, called SOC, Servants of Christ. We're not allowing it, right? Atsham Yechava, Atsham Yechashva, Atsham Levak HaKodash. So be ready to be safe. Oh, that's a word right there. Be ready to be safe. So we gotta get into some of these points. Are you ready to be safe? Right? Like, if you're going in a submarine, you have to do certain things to make sure that you're ready to be safe. Like if you're coming up from a submarine, you can't just come up. If you've been down in the depths and you've been in the deep, and now it's time for you to come back up to the surface, you have to go through a process to be ready, or else you'll die if you come up too soon. Are you ready to be safe? You've been feeling pressure. You've been living pressurized, not even realizing it. And now it's time for you to come out of wickedness. But are you ready? Have you made yourself ready to be safe? Right? The reason why there's certain rules, if you were to visit my home, the reason why there's certain rules in my home is not just because I need to be safe, my family needs to be safe, but if you come into my house, it is my responsibility that everybody in there is safe. So there are certain rules you must abide by because we want your safety to be a priority. If you're coming to meet up with us on Memorial Day, there's certain things that we're going to ask. We're asking for you to fill out the form. We're asking for you to tell us in advance. We're asking for you to do these things. We're asking for you to be ready to do certain things. Why? Because we want you to feel safe. Hallelujah, somebody. Right? Your safety is our priority. So those that come to Sedona, and right, there's certain things that we're going to say, hey, if you're going to be here, if you're going to be there, if you're going to do a hotel, if we're going to do Airbnb, if we're going to do whatever, you need to make sure you do thus and such. Why? Because we need to ensure your safety. That's why we have laws. That's why we have things that will say you need to do this. How you do it, Sister Nadine? Because your safety is a priority. We must prioritize your safety. Right? So are you ready to be safe? I'm ready for a wife. Are you ready for a wife? Wife will make you safe. But are you ready for a wife? Are you ready for a husband? Husband will make you safe. Kingdom husband, kingdom wife. They'll make you safe. But you hear what I'm saying? You have to do what? You have to follow some things. You have to be prepared to take care of some things. See, we said already, make a safe place for your husband, make a safe place for the name. We've gone through this in this series already. I want to help somebody with something. If we're talking about safety, right? I've used this example plenty of times in this series, and I'll probably continue to. If I'm in charge of a base, when I was in the military, and I'm on sentry duty, right? Let's say I'm on gate guard duty. You know what allows me to make the base safe? If I'm on sentry duty, right? If I'm on sentry duty, what allows me to make the base safe? Well, somebody has to make sure they take care of what makes them safe. And has to obey the laws that allow me to let you be safe. Safety comes with a price, and be ready. When you come on the base, recognize there's laws in place, and if you do something that causes anybody to be unsafe, then I'm coming looking for you. You hear what I'm saying? If you're coming in my community, I should make sure my community feels safe. And it's weird because everybody else is allowed to do so except ours. Everybody else has a word to tell you about how you should be governed, but you, right, about how they should be governed, but they also have a word to tell you how you should govern yourself. And that's not even constitutional, by the way. That's not even how common law works. Right? That's why you're allowed, as much as you guys want to give up the right. When you guys are talking about getting rid of guns and the Second Amendment, you guys don't recognize, right, as citizens of the United States, you do not recognize that when you get rid of that, you're saying that we don't have the right to go against, to oppose the government. That's part of it. It's not just the right to bear arms. I know the right. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I could care less about that stuff. But, you know, if you're on the right or left, you don't understand that part of the reason that's there is because you should be allowed to defend yourself and even call out the government and even say you guys are doing things that are wrong. That's part of it. We only talk about the guns, right? But it's protection based more so than even it's gun based. How you doing, Sister Sylvia? You hear what I'm saying? It's protection based even more so than it is gun based. It's there so that there's a mindset of, hey, we should be able to protect ourselves. Right? And so there needs to be a safe place for you. Have you made yourself ready? Have you made yourself ready to be protected? Right? Are you able to get into the strong tower? What allows you in the strong tower? By the way, what allows you inside the strong tower? How are you allowed in the strong tower? Who's allowed in? Who runs inside? Those who are in right lawful standing, right? The righteous run in, and they are safe, which means that they are also saved. The letter F and the letter V interchangeable, right? So the righteous, those in right lawful standing, they can run inside. The name, the authority, the shem, the sham, right? They run inside, and they make the choice to go inside of the safety. So once again, I ask the question. Are you prepared for safety? Everybody talking a lot about how they want to be safe. Have you prepared yourself? Have you prepared yourself to step away from a wicked system? Are you ready? Do you want safety? Because if you want safety, then there's some of us, let's be honest, all of us to a certain degree, right? Excuse me. Sorry. But there's some things that you got to be ready to give up. Beloved, there's some things you're going to have to give up if you want to enter into this gate, into this base, into this place called Shalom or Jerusalem. There's some things you're going to have to give up. Right? Ask yourself when you get a chance, you don't have to do so now, and you don't have to put it in the chat or anything, but ask yourself when you have the time, if I had gave up thus and such sooner, how safe would I have felt? Or ask yourself, what things will I not give up and it's not making me feel safe? I know that's a difficult question. Because you might have to ask yourself, what relationship am I in that I might have to give up in order to feel safe? Uh-oh. Or what might I have to give up to make my relationship safe, make a safe place for the relationship? Salah. You said they hit different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Right. But you hear what I'm saying? What is it that you don't feel safe in because you haven't given up something? Hey, how you doing, MIT LaCrystal? Yeah. So you gotta ask yourself, what am I not giving up that causes me not to feel safe? First of all, give up your pride might be one of them. Because some of us are so proud that you have nothing on your list. Which means that you're ready for heaven. You should just be gone. To be absent from the body, you should already be gone. There's no use for you. if there's nothing. Yes, yeah, gave up stuff, turned back vacation offers, love of members. Oh, okay. Okay, for you read it and stuff. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Now there's some things that we've given up to stay in an unsafe place. I'm talking about so that's also another way we could look at it too, because some persons have given up things that the kingdom required of you, so that you could stay in the place that allows you to stay unsafe. As we talked about, there's this term we've talked about in times past. This term called nostalgic trauma. I think it's I think it's my term. I'm not sure if somebody had it before me. If so, they can take credit for it, right? But there's this thing called nostalgic trauma we talk about, where a lot of persons don't think of, when we think about nostalgia, we only think about what makes us feel great, but we don't think about we're nostalgic about a lot of things that are traumatic and that still cause trauma and still cause us to get off track, right? You don't believe me? Let He-Man play. And there's a bunch of brothers, some sisters too, but there's a bunch of brothers of a certain age that will start freaking out and start being like, I remember this, I remember that. But He-Man is one of the most evil things to watch, especially when it comes to sorcery, witchcraft, spirits, spells, hexes, homosexuality, homoerotica. Oh yes, right? And they put it right on your child's plate and said, right? You don't believe me? How does when Adam, that's by the way his name, Adam, right? When Adam turns into He-Man, which is even a play on human, by the way. So when Adam turns human or gets strong as He-Man, human, powerful man, right? When Adam turns into He-Man, how does he do so? By the power of what? I know somebody know the answer to that one. Come on now, right? I'm not the only one who's watched He-Man before in his life. Even if you haven't, you probably heard it before. How does Adam turn into He-Man? By the power, come on, by the power of Grayskull. How you doing, Sister Sabrina? By the way, She-Ra turns into She-Ra, right? What's her name? I forget her name. Please forgive me. I wasn't watching She-Ra like that. Even though they kind of came, what's her name? Aurora, or something like that. Aurora, when she turns into She-Ra, she turns what? By the power, or for the honor of Grayskull. Is it Tila? I thought Tila was one of the. Well, anyway, I could be wrong on that one. Whatever her name is, right? But you hear what I'm saying? But they both do it by Grayskull. Have you ever looked up Grayskull? Have you ever looked up what Grayskulls do? And we were saying it over and over again. By the way, I'm not going to say it 3 times because you're not supposed to. But, another nostalgic thing, right? We had to give up some things. No problem, Dr. T. Right? We had to give up some things. Watch this. Like there's some things, even some memories we have to work hard on. It was asking Q&A yesterday. How do we begin to get out of a lot of Greco-Roman stuff that's been put on our plate? And I said it's going to be like day after day, time, work, effort, energy. You have to really, really put in. How you doing, Brother Arlene? You have to really, really put in because your life, if you was every day, it took you your whole life to get into the cultural stuff you got into. This is your life. It takes a lifetime of habitual training, of habitual mandate, right? But go back, where was it? I only say this once. If you say it 3 times, you're not even supposed to say it 3 times. Y'all know about the Candyman one, but I didn't say it. I didn't say it the whole time, so this counts as one. Beetlejuice. Do you know if you look up that term, right? Do you know that if you look up that term, it's actually a very old Visigothic, Germanic spirit that's worshipped. That sounds very close to what you refer to as that name. And if you say it 3 times, that spirit is supposed to show up in your life, right? You're not supposed to, right? Like we don't know. So you watch the show that was literally, first of all, it was based on the movie, the Tim Burton movie, especially the original one. The second one is kind of crazy too. I've only seen pieces of it. But when you watch the original one, right, and see what's going on and see the spirit that's trying to take over a body and trying to get there and trying to force Lydia into marriage and all that stuff like that, and all the stuff that's going on, right? This is something that goes back. This is a real spirit. And nobody wants to, And everybody just watches it and goes, and you have all these persons talking about it and saying this and all this stuff, and persons saying it for fun and dressing like it at Comic-Con, not realizing that this is an actual figure. This is actually an idol that was worshipped, and it was put on your, what is it, Saturday morning cartoons, I believe it's called. How you doing, double OG, triple OG? For everybody to watch. How you doing, Sister Tia? Shalom, Shalom. Right? This was put out there for you to be sitting up there spending all this time and giving time, talent, effort, energy, all this stuff too, and not realizing, recognizing what it's doing to your life, to your family, to your children. How you doing, Brother Charlie? Right? This is what's we were raised on stuff like this. Yeah, evoking spirits. You watching videos, all of it, all these videos, all these girls. It's not. It's, you think it's random that all these singers, Britney Spears, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Rihanna. I can't keep up with all the names. Forgive me, but y'all know there's many, many more that all have to like act like they have blood dripping off of them, dressed in black, revealing outfits, and all of them are over a pentagram. Right? I could see one or two of them. I could see 5, 6 of them even. Okay, this is just something that just happens to occur. But all of them over the same thing. But you watching videos where that just pops in there and you don't think twice. You don't think there's anything wrong with everybody's the rap god? Or that Kendrick says he's the Elohim? That Drake is talking about God's plan and then basically says he's God? There needs to be a safe place for you from this stuff. This is why the word says in Ephesians chapter 5, I believe it's Ephesians chapter 5, I believe it's verse 19, where it says that you got to fill your head with spiritual songs and psalms and hymns. You've been listening to everything else so long that you don't even know spiritual songs and hymns and stuff. You have so many other songs in your head. Right? There are more babies that can quote, they not like us, that know more about mustard, right? Mustard! They know more about that than they do about y'all. This is problematic. How do you make a safe place for you? You work for the kingdom. Are you ready for a safe place? Are you ready to work for the kingdom? Are you ready for a spiritual place? Okay, well, there's many spirits. So make it a spiritual place, but make sure it's kingdom. There's many spirits. Sperare is ever present all over the place, right? But we want to make sure that we're talking about a spirit that's clean and holy. By the way, spirit, soul, and body. Make sure that you have a safe place, right, for you and your spirit, man, a safe place for you and your soul, man, and a safe place for you in your physical man. Because all three are one. Having conversation. You said most of the spiritual songs use wrong terms? Sure, okay. But there's a difference between all the glory belongs to you and, that WAP. I don't, we can't, we're not, I'm not trying to come against you. I'm just saying we can't pretend like they're in the same place. And by the way, even when we talk about spiritual songs, that's why I said even comb through those, right? Comb through those and see. I had to repent of this because I was given the wrong teaching. It wasn't that he said this all the time in the original lyric, it's that he said it a couple times in different live versions of the song. But when you hear, for a Savior's just a sinner, right? It's really, it's really, that's not what he really said. But he only said it a couple times in live songs, but still was wrong when he said it, a Savior's just a sinner who's been down and got up, or persons who used to sing, a Savior's just a sinner who's been down and got up, right? But there's a lot of stuff that persons say. For example, let's even take it out of the song realm for a second, make it a safe place for you, right? We will, so for example, look, man, I love me some Tobe and Wigwe, but he's becoming a little bit, because he's so busy trying to make sure that the YN, so to speak, are getting the message that he's actually changing the message and changing what he's here to do, or at least what he said he was here to do, which was to be different, to stand out, and to be peculiar. Right? Now, his goal has now become, hey, I made it big, and I want to bring all these persons who have bad spirits. I want to allow them to come in now and still be able to jump on stuff and say some things that is totally against what I'm talking about. Or even Kirk Franklin. Yeah, you can talk about Kirk Franklin. The lion and the lamb will lay down with the goat, right? Or it doesn't matter what color you are as long as your blood was red. I mean, that's not a factual statement. I know I'm going to mess with somebody, right? But doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter what color you are as long as your blood was red. Sounds great until you go, well, that's a way of just saying the same rhetoric and saying that we don't really care who Christ was and who Israel is. It's Balaam doctrine. That being said, though, if he has a song that says, give me that joy I can't explain, add extra peace that'll ease my pain, I want that love that'll never change, give me that, right? Give me that power to walk away when another y'all wants to take your place. As much of you as I can take, give me that. Hey, I'm with you, right? But I have to be ready to be safe, right? By the way, in order to be safe, have you ever considered, as we were talking about for early rising Bible study session, have you ever considered that you should know the law greater than the scribes and the Pharisees to make sure that you don't keep looking up to scribes and Pharisees as the end all be all to anything? The scribe and the Pharisee, the scribe is basically supposed to write out the scripture. The Pharisee is supposed to be a leader, right? I am supposed to be a leader as a Levite. I'm supposed to be a leader, right? But just because I'm a leader doesn't mean I'm the end all be all of nothing. And sometimes I'm going to get something wrong, or somebody might find something, or even it might be a small detail, or it might be a huge detail. Somebody should be able to come and be like, hey, Pastor Kofi, you're not doing blah, blah, blah. Right? And as long as you show me in the law, guess what? Because I respect the law, I'll say, you know what? Fine, we need to revisit that. We need to do da-da-da. Yeah, you see melanated color, yeah. It's all right to see ourselves. How you doing, Twit? So I'm trying to just show you and tell you and teach you if I can. Prayerfully, I'm doing a righteous work in that this rising. But I'm just trying to show you, you got to make a safe place for you, and you got to start taking time out to realize that as you do for the kingdom, you do for you. This is one of the things, by the way, too. Can I be honest, beloved? Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. But I'm be honest with you. I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm talking about overall what I see, okay? So if the shoe fits weird, if it doesn't take it off, I promise you I'm not coming looking for any one person personally. I'm not knocking on your door. If I am, then this Holy Spirit open up and let her in, right? Right? But hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying, beloved. This is not coming to any one person on here. I know it's going to sound like it is, right? I'm going to sound harsh. That being said, look, man, if you recognize that if you would just do what the king says, you would do for you. When somebody says it's not about me, yes, okay, it's not about you as far as you're not the ruler, you're not the one who wrote the Bible, I get that. But what about you? If you don't do what Yah says, what do you think's going to happen to you? Hear me, beloved. How you doing, Warren? If you don't do what Yah says, what do you think's going to happen to you? If you don't start getting your life in order, what do you think's going to happen? I'm trying to help somebody. If you don't get your life in order, if you don't move when Yah says, if you don't press towards the mark of the high calling, and you go the opposite way, then you're depressing. Depression is real. What are you going to do for you? I don't do anything for me. I do it for the kingdom. You're in the kingdom. It's a commonwealth. And if the king decrees something so that the kingdom might be established, that means anybody in the kingdom gets established. So how is it that you keep talking about, I told you, this is going to get rough. I've been trying to still be nice about it. I guess I can't be nice about this part. We have persons who have been taught to where you were supposed to be so under the thumb or so under or be a doormat or under somebody else's feet so much that you have forgotten that by doing what Yah says, It helps you to improve. Hey, respect, Rasta. How you doing? You hear what I'm saying, beloved? We have forgotten that by doing what Yah says will help us to improve. If I do what Yah says, I must improve. His word is righteous. If I am the vessel and somebody pours righteousness inside of me to pour out, when I pour it out, it must be inside of me. In order for me to help someone else, I must be able to also have what I'm saying help me. Even when I, watch this, even when I sacrifice, be a living sacrifice, which is holy and acceptable and my reasonable service, even when I sacrifice or give of myself, right, I'm giving of myself knowing that whatever is poured out shall be replaced. When Christ gave his life, when Mashiach gave his life, when the Messiah gave his life, right, he got what? A glorified body. And they got a name that's above every other name. Why is it that you haven't taken time out to realize that when I do what Yah says, I am going to get what Yah says? I'm not trying to say you're going to have to be rich, right? Even though you are, because you think you're poor, but really are rich. I'm not talking about worldly riches, right? Because those are things you can't take with you. Yah will take care of you. He'll make sure that you eat. He'll make sure that you're fed. He'll make sure that you have land to live off of and stuff, especially when you do what he says. He even tells us what to do with our finances. For whatever reason, we don't like to do what he says. And then we're like, I don't know what to do. Right? But if I do what Yah says, then I get the consequences of doing what he said. If I do not do what Yah says, then I get the consequences of not doing. So if Yah says, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, why are you sitting up there every time somebody says something bad about you and saying, I'll never be able to get past this, I don't know what'll happen? Look, if he said, I will curse those who curse you, that means if, now watch this, right? Hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim, to do all these things that I've commanded you this day, right? If you do so, I will set you on high, and I will put you above all nations. But only if you do that. And I will make sure that your enemy, when they come before you one way, they'll flee before you several ways. And I will ensure, this is what thus saith Yahweh, thus saith the Lord, thus saith the dawn. He says, I will ensure that your sheep and your cattle and everything will multiply. I will ensure that you will be able to make sure that you are above and never beneath. I will ensure that you are never first, that the first will be last, the last will be first, that basically you will never be last in the equation. I will ensure. Right? This is what he says. But then we go, but somebody said something and it frightened me. Somebody said they don't think that I'm telling the truth about the word. And so I don't think that I can go on any further. I become like Elijah. I have all this power to where I can rain down fire from heaven in his name. And Yah will back me up so much that when the fire rains down from heaven, it even laps up or licks up the water. However, somebody comes across, Jezebel's spirit comes across, and all of a sudden I can't move. Somebody's sitting next to the king on the throne, married into him. Somebody's in his family, somebody's in my family, somebody doing something, and I can't move, forgetting that there's thousands. Yeah, that's big. Come on, sis. That's being double-minded. He says, I will bless those. He said, Yahushua, he prayed to the Most High. He said, I'm so thankful that those that you place in my hand can't be plucked out. What are we talking about that you can't make it? How you doing, Tay-Tay? Or Trey-Tay, excuse me. Right? What are we talking about that you can't make it? How you doing, Sister Renee? Come on, somebody. What are we talking about? There's too much for you. It's not even on you. He said just be tied in. Be equally yoked. Tied into the yoke. It's not even your yoke. Just be tied into the yoke. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. Just be tied in. Remember we went over that before, what does equally yoked actually mean? Because we get that question all the time. Well, what if somebody's not equally yoked? Equally yoked doesn't mean that we always going to agree. Equally yoked means that you have persons that are tied into the same yoke and you have different strengths. See, we got to make a safe place for you. Nothing too much for y'all. Come on, Minister Shantae. We making a safe place for you, beloved. For you. Who are you? And why is it that all these persons be around you and they don't have no clue who you are? No wonder they talk to you like that. If they knew who you were, if they knew that you knew who you were, if they knew that you don't just take no mess. You hear what I'm saying? If you, if they knew who you were, listen. I'm not trying to say this is no brag, blah blah. When persons come around me or whatever, persons don't be cursing like that and stuff. I don't tell somebody they don't have to stop. They got to stop cursing. They know who I be. They know how I represent. They know what I'm into. They know what I wear. They know where I go. They know what my son's supposed to be, right? My son don't do different things. My son don't hang around with just anybody. They know that it's different. It's different. There's an environment that's been set up for my son to feel safe, and they know that if my son acts a certain way, then his father must act a certain way. You hear what I'm saying? So because I've revealed who I am in my life and my personal walk every day, and I do it, what is it that we say unapologetically? Because I do it unapologetically means without debate. I don't have to debate you on who I am. There's a safe place for you to be unapologetically you. Is there a safe place, by the way, for you? Just a question. You don't have to answer it right now, but just something to think about. Is there a safe place for you? Are you part of a community? Are you connected to a group of persons who believe that you should have a safe place, that if somebody's messing with you, we'll show up? Is there a safe place to where, hey, somebody believes what you believe and you can sit down and study the word? And by the way, did you start to make this safe place? Because this is what happens a lot of times too. Did you start to make the safe place and then all of a sudden make excuses why you're not going to keep it up? Right? Now, I got to ask a question after that. Because if the answer is no, really even if it's yes, but we'll just focus on no. If the answer is no, then I have to ask a question. Do you have faith that there is a safe place? Do you have faith that Yah wants us to make a safe place for his word, for his will, for his way, and ultimately for you? Just question. Do you have faith in that? Because if you have faith in that, right? If you have faith, and I'm not doing that whole, I know, look, I know respect to the elders who are Rasta, but that whole thing that's been popping up, and the persons are going with it as far as you can't believe something and know it, that's not true. Know means to be intimate. I can believe in something and become intimate with what I believe in. Many persons believe in something and never become intimate. Okay? So you got to be careful. How you doing, Brother Lamar? You got to be careful because cats will be out here, even persons that we love, will be out here talking on some stuff. That's why you got to know the law greater than the scribes and the Pharisees, because laws don't give rights, they protect your rights, including the rights to your peace of mind, and even peace knowing that you are doing what Yah tells you you're supposed to do, right? But you got to know, this is why etymology counts. But hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying, beloved, right? If you have faith in it, then where are your works? How you doing, Elder Select Term? If you have faith in it, where are your works? Where are your works that say, I am going to work as if what I have faith in? See, this is how you become intimate. This is how you know something. You ready? I just said faith. Faith means that I can believe something, right? And not even take a step toward it. I can have faith in something and never take a step. I like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s thing. How you doing, Sister Helen? I like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s thing where it says, faith is taking the next step without knowing what's coming up. But that's faith and works going together. You can have faith in something that would never work it. And many persons operate in that. Many persons have faith that what Yah says about relationships works, but they don't work it. And do you hear what I'm saying? Right? Many persons believe that what Yah, they have faith in, what Yah says, they have faith that it works, but they don't work. When something doesn't work, have you ever noticed that that's what you say? I don't find that it works. Have you worked it? Is the question. Right? Your faith has to be worked, and it has to be worked to the character, or as they would say in many languages, or at least in English for sure, it has to be worked to the letter. Right? Somebody says, "I've been praying." Have you been praying without ceasing? Yeah, I've been praying for years. Okay, question: have you prayed? And do you know what a petition is? Because that's what a prayer is. Well, no, but I've been praying. But have you been praying and praying, making sure that your life matches what you're praying? Because if your life doesn't match what you're praying, Y'all does not have to hear it. Everybody would say prayer works, but then you don't do the works that go with your prayer. If I make a petition to the government, right? If I'm saying, hey, right, let's say I come out to private, I want to become public. I say, hey, I want some food stamps. Give me some food stamps. All right? I've got to do certain works in order to get what I have faith in. And if I make the petition to the government, then the government says, okay, in order for you to qualify, here are the works. Here are the things you must sign. Here are the persons that must back you up. This is how much money you must make or not make. Right? Faith is one thing, but what do you work towards? Your works must be on the book, even to get into the book of life. Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. They're looking, the Most High is not concerned about you have faith in it only. He loves faith because faith will cause you to what? Do the works, right? If you have faith, right, the size of a mustard seed, when it's fully grown, it will get somewhere. But what happens? There's work. It must grow. I can't just put a seed in the ground and never water it. I can't put a seed in the ground, hear me, beloved, right? As much as I can't put a seed in the ground and it never have contact with water and it never be in sunlight. I would be a fool to think that I could take a seed and no work takes place, or no time takes place, or no protection of it takes place. How you doing, babe? My wife is on the Honorable Am as always. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. How you doing, Tabitha? Thank you, everybody, for being on all the platforms. If you joined us on the podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, joining us later on different platforms, or joining us later on, period. Thank you so much for being on with us, right? But faith without works. Many persons keep talking about they believe something, but this is a safe place for you, not just for your faith, but for you also. That means it's a safe place for your works. What are you willing to work? I promise you, if you put the work in, you'll start to see results. The information's up on TikTok. Thank you, Elder Select, for putting it there, right? What are your works? I have faith that I can get stronger. How many push-ups and sit-ups you willing to do? You're right. If you put it, you can get stronger. I have faith that I'll be able to run. You're right. Have you started walking? I have faith that my baby will be able to speak one day. Sure, but your baby is 2 months old. What are you doing to work? What kind of mouth recognition exercises are you doing? Are you doing any flashcards to where if at some point they're going to start, even before they can speak, they'll know what it says? How you doing, Jose? Your faith is great. Your faith is awesome, but don't get stuck on your faith to the point to where you don't work anything. This is a safe place for you to do some works. Oh, I know somebody's waiting for me to only just talk about you. You can just be in here and we'll keep you safe. Yes, we're going to keep you safe, but your works got to be done. This is a safe place for any type of stuff that we can do to help you on your spiritual journey. But don't forget that on your journey, you're going to have to do something. No more procrastination. I see you, Sister Tia, right? Got a couple different Tias on here today. Or I don't know if it's the same one. That's not the Tia that's in Mexico, right? It's a different Tia. Or is it the same one? Might be the same one. And now I'm thinking about it. I'm sorry. Right? How you doing, Leonard? But your faith. Do you hear what I'm saying, beloved? Your faith. We love it with the woman when she couldn't get to him, H-I-M, so she touched the him, the H-E-M. And we love how she went through and did everything she had to, and she was bent over, and she was, I'm going to get to him no matter what, and I'm gonna travel, and I'm going to get all the way there. And she touched his hem, and she became whole. It was her faith that made her whole, but don't skip over the fact that her faith made her whole because she worked her faith. Or worked in faith, if you prefer that. And by the way, thank you, Holy Spirit, for even bringing that up, because that's an excellent way of looking at things. Because this woman who was dealing with the issue of blood was weak, and should not, because she had the issue of blood, should have been declaring how she was unclean, unlawful, and yet because she had faith, when she worked in faith, even though she was unlawful or unclean in her physical condition in the moment, in the spirit, she had become clean enough to be able to get to the Most High. Hallelujah, somebody, right? She might have been unclean in her physical place where she was in the moment, but she was spiritually clean enough to where she became clean enough to be able to get to the Most High, and she worked as if she was already clean. She said, if I could just touch but the hem of his garment, I will be made whole, holy, holistic. I'll be made whole. I'll be right where I'm supposed to be again. How you doing, Sister Snap? And so even though in the moment she was unclean, unlawful, looked at as a pariah, not supposed to be touched, not supposed to be in the crowd, and matter of fact was weak, she said, I will go through because I have faith that if I work towards what I believe, if I work towards what I say I have faith in, once I get there, I will be made whole. Don't skip over the work. Come on. Some of us, we're skipping over the work. We keep saying, I have faith that I'm supposed to preach to many. So work today like you're supposed to preach to many. I told y'all my story, right? I told you I used to preach to the trees because I had a gift and nobody would let me use it. But I had faith that what I had was serious. So somebody was going to get a piece. If it's a tree, somebody going to get this word. If it was ants on the ground, somebody was going to get that word. If nobody showed up to a service, those who've been with me can verify. If nobody showed up to a service, I would still be there and I'd preach. I would record it. I would put all the stuff out there as if every seat was filled. Because something in me said, there's got to be something that this is for. I've got to develop this. I've got to keep dealing with the gift. I know the gift makes room. And even though I don't see it right now, I worked as if what I saw, and I still see a lot more. I still see a lot more. You hear what I'm saying? So I'm going to keep working as if what I see. I still see a nation that's got to be developed. I still see generations that can make sure that they have a place to stay. I still see us eating our own food. I still see businesses taking off to where we don't have to worry about everybody having 9 to 5 so we can focus on being with each other. And so I'm going to work as if what I see is not just plausible, but that it's already happened somewhere in eternity. I'm just trying to catch up to what I've seen in eternity. In eternity, it's already happened. See, in the past, it's easy for you to get caught up in your past. You know why? Because certain things have happened in your past. You've had a personal relationship with it already. But you need to start making a personal relationship with the things that you've seen, even if you haven't touched them yet. I feel that one, right? Even if you haven't touched it yet, act like I need to have a personal relationship. It's easy to have a personal relationship with the present because you're living in it. It's easy to go back and be stuck in the past because you've had a personal relationship. But start touching on them things that are supposed to come as if they've already happened. Make a safe place even for you in the future because Yah has. He's just waiting for you to come on board. He says, in all things that you do, I want you to prosper and have Tabah success. He said, just come on board. I'm waiting for you. He says, the things that I have for you are things that are positive, things that will give you shalom, that will give you peace, not things that are evil. He's just waiting for you to come on board. There's a safe place for you. Well, my children are listening to me about the way, and they're older and they're not fine. Start working and living your life as if your children are already on board. If they're not there yet, that's fine. Let them get there on their own time. They have their own free will. But you be an example, the same example you're going to see. Watch. All right. For whoever this is for, this is for. Look, the same example you're going to be to them when they come into the word, start being the same example now. Well, when I get around them, I have to be careful. I want to take it with kid gloves, and I want no. The same example you're going to be when they come in the kingdom, be it right now. The same stuff that you won't allow when they come into the kingdom, don't allow it now. There's a saying that Shannon Sharp says a lot. If you know who Shannon Sharp is, if you don't know who he is, he's a sports broadcaster. He was a tight end Hall of Famer in the NFL. He has a saying that I like a lot. He said that this is something that they used to say in Denver all the time when he played for the Denver Broncos. He said, never, hear what I'm saying. He said, never allow, and this is one of the things that really messes us up. He says, never allow, or in sports, in football, you should never allow things to happen, or you should never allow, you should just never be cool with, I'll say it like that. You should never be cool with things in a win that you wouldn't be cool with in a loss. Hallelujah. What's he trying to say? He's trying to say, hey, when we're winning or we think everything's positive or when things are easy, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that's really not safe for us. But we'll let it keep going on no matter what. Because we're like, well, we're at least we're playing nice. But then all of a sudden when things go bad, all of a sudden you say, you want to argue, you want to yell, you want to say all these things, but they were not cool when things were okay. I have to be better at that, to be honest with you. I've had to grow in that, and I'm still not great at that. Because, as men, we just like peace. And so we'll let all types of stuff. I'm not just talking about with your wife, with your children, with your job and stuff. You'll let a lot of stuff go by. Real talk. And you won't say anything. And then later on, you finally blow up. Why? Because you're tired of it. Right? And now things are bad enough to where it's like, okay, I got to say something now. But you should have said something then. But what do? We wait. Sisters, y'all do the same thing. You don't like this, you don't like what he's getting, you don't like the gift, you don't like blah, blah. Then all of a sudden things get bad, and now I'm going to let him have it. But it should have been something that was on the table a long time ago. Never accept things that are bad in a win, especially if you wouldn't accept them in a loss. Never accept in a win what you wouldn't accept in a loss. Because if it's wrong, it's wrong. This is why Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, right? Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain. We had these weird fascinations. That's just basketball. We can go to many different sports. We had this weird fascination with cats, right? And all of a sudden they start doing wrong. We start realizing that they're human, or we start realizing that, hey, these were not persons that we should have looked up to leaders at all. But because they made money, or because they were nostalgic, because they made a last-second shot, and therefore that makes them better than us because they're better in basketball. We had this thing where we go, oh man, I'm surprised so-and-so, or I can't believe Michael Jordan's like this, or I can't believe that he would like not do this for his people. I can't believe that his boys act like this. I can't believe LeBron James is out here cheating. I can't believe, we go to this weird place. We're shocked that these persons would do these things. First of all, we shouldn't just we have a bad problem with this in our diaspora. Just because somebody can dunk a ball doesn't mean they should be telling us who to vote for, right? You shouldn't be voting anyways, you got a kid. But you get what I mean, right? That being said, we had this really wild and weird fascination with this stuff, or things like that. And the reality is like, no, like this, you never checked his character. Like that dude wasn't safe in the first place. You never checked his character. Why are we acting like we're surprised that Lil Wayne is doing some weird stuff and saying some weird things? And Lil Wayne was never a leader of our people. Matter of fact, Lil Wayne was busy telling you a long time ago, and trying to make it a point, saying on what was it, 60 Minutes, a long time ago, saying, I'm not anybody's role model. Nobody should look up to me, blah, blah, this and that. And if you're looking up to me, it's because you got a problem with blah, blah, whatever. He told you a long time ago he's not worthy of your respect in that regard. I'm not listening for Lil Wayne to tell me what's going on. Like that old joke Dave Chappelle used to say, right? When something's going on and we're like, oh no, something happened with the Twin Towers. Where is Ja? I don't care about Ja. Right now? I don't care what Ja got to say. When did he become my leader? We had a really weird fascination where we done all these things or whatever, forgetting the power that Yah's already placed in you. Our leaders shouldn't be based on the stuff that they're based on, right? I'm not worried about what Ja got to say about this. I'm not concerned that Ja Morant is exercising his right to carry a weapon and what it looks like for persons who are trying to sell things in the NBA. I've never put stock in Zion Williamson because he can dunk a ball, and so now I need to make sure that I say to everybody how he's overweight, blah, blah, and he doesn't deserve millions, as if you deserve what you get. I work hard for blah, blah. Yeah, you don't think that he worked hard his whole life to get to a place where he can be the #1 pick in the NBA? Well, he can't discipline himself when it comes to eating. Yeah, I can't either sometimes. That's why my body is jacked up. That's why I'm trying to get myself together. Right? But that's not but that they should never you see what I'm saying? But that's not who our heroes should be. We act like we're weirded out because you've never made a safe place. It's weird. We sometimes can we keep it a buck? A lot of us like to look at these persons because we don't like to look at ourselves. I know I feel like I'm going all over the place. I promise you it's gonna come back in a second. But just roll with me. Right? I believe we're making sense anyways, right? Just hear what I'm saying. That you hear what I'm saying? Like, you are so busy looking at everybody else. What is it that you like to do? What is it that you bring to the table? Who looks at you, right? First of all, we shouldn't be fans of anybody, fanatics. Fan is short for fanatic. Never be a fanatic. Even the Most High doesn't want fanatics. He wants persons who are believers in the system, right? And believers in him and love on him and to accept his love back. Relationship. He doesn't want a fan. See, many of you are fans, and you spend so much time looking up to and living for somebody who could care less about you, wouldn't even learn your name. I'm not saying they wouldn't sign this. I'm not saying they're not a nice person. Hear what I'm saying? You're giving so much stock to somebody that doesn't even care about setting up your community for the righteous reasons. How you doing, Bonnie? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? That's why a lot of y'all were defending WAP. Had all these persons come out. Well, some of y'all need some WAP in your life. What about that's righteous? If you want to discuss that, discuss it with your spouse, because that's who you need to be doing that with. Everybody else, that's not even something we need to be doing. Well, cats was out here trying their best to defend it and playing and doing all this stuff or whatever. For what? Somebody would come out, children don't need to hear that. They say, well, children know, but you're their parent. But even if your child hears it, what's so harmful about blah, blah, blah? What you mean what's harmful about that? We need a safe place for you. You need to make a safe place for you. We need to make a safe place for you. We need to make a safe place for each other. That includes, that's why we talked about a while ago, safe place for the children in this series, right? This has been a whole series we've been doing since January 1st, if you're not aware, right? But that's why you gotta realize, like, the children, they are so unsafe out here, and many of us are adults who have manifested into adulthood through an unsafe environment as a child. And that's why we're acting the way we're acting. That's why our relationships are the way that they are. That's why we yell before we talk. I'm speaking to myself on that, right? But that's why we yell before we talk. Because we were very vulnerable, and we had no choice but to trust somebody with our vulnerabilities. And many of us, unfortunately, and it's not just because of inappropriate touchings and things as far as that nature, right? And not only, trigger warning, excuse me, but it's not only because of that, but there's a lot of different things that we carry and that we went through and that happened to us and stuff like that, where we trusted that somebody would be there for us. We trusted. All these persons talking about go to school and go to college and this and that. Do you know that in our diaspora, this is no joke, in our diaspora in the United States of America, that the average person of our diaspora is going to end up having less money than the person that came before them in their family? If your mother and father made this such and such amount of money. The average person now makes less money, or as far as with inflation and stuff involved too. But you are in a lesser position. But you were told go through the system, right? Even the system. We thought that we could be. You were taught go and be the best you can be in school, and come to find out that there's a lot of stuff you need besides school. And by the way, school be lying. You think it's across the board? Could be across the board. I know for sure it's in the diaspora. Could be across the board, right? You hear what I'm saying? That the person, on average, the way society that says that you're supposed to be saved has set it up to where you're actually going to have less than those that came before you. At some point, we got to check out, legit, because they lying. You mean to tell me that I'm supposed to do everything the way you tell me to do it? And once I finish doing everything that you tell me to do, I'm going to have less? But then somebody says, if you come into the knowledge of truth and begin to build a nation and begin to come from being scattered across the four corners and you come together and do this righteously, you mean to tell me that makes me a cult? Well, then call me whatever you will. I'll be a cult then. Cult is just short for culture anyways. But go ahead, call me whatever you will, then I'll be a cult if that's what you need to call me. Because you're on that some occult stuff. If you think that I'm supposed to work righteously and end up in a wicked place, I'd rather come out of wickedness and end up in a righteous place, right? There's a safe place for me there. I want to go to the place to where I'm safe, right? Now, once again, we have to work. Don't just have faith in it. Where are your works? How much labor are you putting into this? I'm so serious. How much labor in your day, how much effort do you put forth towards ensuring that your community is better today than it was yesterday and is going to have a better chance tomorrow than it does today? How much labor every day, every hour that we have? This is why we have to work together as a community to eventually help each other in our businesses and stuff, in our families, to get righteous enough to where we can be within ourselves. All these other communities that you're seeing, guess what they do? They work within themselves. I don't care. See, watch this. And I'm not saying this should be the barometer. Obviously, we want everybody to do the best they can. But hear what I'm saying. If you go to certain Mexican places, I don't care if their Mexican food is trash compared to other Mexican places. They'll still eat trash Mexican food before they eat your food. You know why? Because they put themselves first. There's a safe place for them. And there's nothing wrong with it. Right? I don't care if you go to a Jewish neighborhood and the Jewish neighborhood, the stuff is trash in a certain place. Guess what? They'll go there first because they know that if they go there first, eventually it's going to lift up. I don't care if the Nigerian is hanging on and barely making it or whatever. The Nigerians will eat with the Nigerians and help out and help their businesses and get to a place. And the family, every family member will have a specific duty and a specific job and something to pass on to their children that their children already have, where they're training their children in the next generation to take over. You know why? Because they're concerned about making sure that the Nigerians grow. There's nothing wrong with it. It's only you who have been taught to not make a safe place for you. It's only you who has been taught, according to Psalm 123, that you are supposed to be scorned, and you're supposed to be full of scorn, full of feeling like you're on the bottom, and full of contempt, and filled with contempt for your own self, rather than realizing that you should be excited and glad when Yahweh said unto you, let us go into the house of the Lord. Now may Israel say. And Balaam doctrine does not suit you. It is against the law. It is against the word. It's against revelation. It's against numbers. Balaam doctrine is any doctrine that tells you that Israel is not supposed to be lifted up. There's a safe place for you. You got to make it a safe place. You got to put in the work. And by the way, you can be grafted in. This is not just saying if you're white, you can't be in, or if you're not Israel. Yes, Israel, but Israel's a nation. The nation has religion, but it is not a religion. It is a nation. This is why I don't have, right? You have to understand the word religion. Everybody is religious, even if you are atheist, because a religious person does something religiously. They do it habitually. If you have habits, you have religion. If you share habits with anybody, right? If you go for a run every day, if you do a live session every day, and I do a live session every day, we religiously do a live session. That's all we're saying. A legion that repetitively does the same thing. But Israel is not a religion. Israel is a nation. That's why the nation of Israel is wherever our feet tread. Stop looking at that land and talking about we got to go back. If that's what Yah eventually gets us to, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. People want to make that argument. Hey, I'm not gonna argue against you. That being said, what are you doing where you are now? How is your nation right now? How is your nation right now? And those that are going to come into the nation and be grafted in, are you ready to come into a safe place? Because we're going to make it a safe place for Israel. If you're coming in and saying you're not going to be Israel and telling us that you're going to mix iron with clay, I'm sorry. This ain't the place for you because it's got to stay safe for Israel. Yes, it does. That's word. That's scripture. Persons don't know what Balaam doctrine is. That's why I say it so much. Revelation chapter 2, verse 14. You're warned against it. And if you read about Balaam in Numbers 22, 23, and 24, you'll realize that basically persons who are prophets are paid. And by the way, Balaam was a prophet called by Yah, but he was not an Israelite. And he was somebody who went out and or was offered gold to speak a word that would cause a stumbling block or a stumbling stone to the children of Israel. And there are many persons who are paid a lot of money, including Israelites, if we be honest, who are paid a lot of money to preach a word and to speak something over your life to make you feel unsafe, to make you still be filled with contempt, and to make you feel like you deserve to be scorned, feel like you are at the bottom. But time is up. Brothers, time is up. This is why these sisters are out here saying, look, I want a husband, but I'm not accepting the same stuff that I saw others have to accept. Why? Because they're not filled with contempt. They're starting to say that they have right now. They might have to realize that they need to rewire some of the stuff. Sure, all of us fall short. All of us need to get better. But hear what I'm saying. Don't get mad at the sister that says, hey, I require more of thee. That being said, sisters, don't be mad at the brother that then says, hey, I'm not filled with contempt for myself either, and I require more of thee. Now, we should make sure we know the law so we can figure out what Yah says a husband is and what he says a wife is. And we should be training persons from birth to make sure that they're husbands and wives. And we should make sure that we're trying our best to realize that, hey, where we are now, we need each other even in our imperfect state. So let's figure this out together, and let's make sure we come out of a dating mentality that's not even in the scripture. There's some things that we should go through, but make a safe place for us, for Israel, for his word. You hear what I'm saying? What is the standard for your marriage? And whose standard is it? You know, whenever I hear a person talking about marriage, they, he. I never hear a person say, well, Yah was speaking, you know, I was reading his word, and I saw in his word that I could be better in. How you doing, Jeslo? You know, I don't hear that much. You know, I was reading his word, and my wife, she's great in all his areas according to the word. But yeah, I did see that this is probably why I have an issue. That's probably why I have an issue in my marriage. You know, I don't feel heard, true, but you know, I didn't think about she's not secure in this place, and she's not, she's not getting affection in this place. You know, yeah, I'm not getting security from him and stuff like that for real. But you know, I've never really respected him as somebody, and I don't trust in faith that he's gonna. I don't work in faith like he's my security. So therefore, he doesn't really even believe that he should be securing me because I'm so busy telling him why I don't have to be secure. Right? I don't really hear a person say it like that because you're not making a safe place for them, for kingdom, and therefore you're not making a safe place for you. Oh my greatness. Oh my greatness. You're not concerned about making a safe place for them, and therefore you're not making a safe place for you. So make a safe place for the kingdom, and therefore make a safe place for you. You said, what advice would I give to a person who was given a ring by a man who was married 7 times? Well, that's a loaded question. I don't know about this man, number one, and where he is. So I'd have to say that outright. I would say that obviously him being married 7 times is a bit of an issue. I would also say, number one, Are you a wife according to the word? I would say forget about the man first. Put Yah first. Are you Yahweh's wife? Do you know what that means? And if the answer to that is no, then don't even worry about the man, don't worry about the ring. Secondly, I would say then, no matter how many times he's been married or not married, I mean, that's a big one, 7. But I would say then, is he a husband according to the word of Yah? Right? If the answer is no, then he's not a husband. See, in our culture, you should be pre-qualified to be a husband or pre-qualified to be a wife. And if you're not what you right, so if you don't live in what you're going to become, if your works don't go match your faith, if you're saying I'm going to become a wife, but you don't have works that say I match up with I'm about to become a wife. If you say I'm going to become a husband, but your works don't match with what you say that you believe that you're going to be, then you're already dealing with double-mindedness, and the truth is not in you. Right? So my advice would start there. Anything else, to be honest, we probably have to have further conversation. But the 7 thing, even though it is a wow, it's something that makes me go, ooh. It's not something that I look at first. Right? That's not the thing I look at first. First thing I'm looking at is a safe place for you as a wife. Have you made a safe place as a wife? Are you safe as a wife? And literally, are you safe as a wife as well? Are you a safe person to be around? Do you multiply? Are you Proverbs 31? Does he know what Proverbs 31 is? There's a lot of different things, but see, a safe place for you. You know, it's not required that you even have a ring. I wear one, my wife wears one, but it's not required you even have a ring. I mean, it's something that Israelites did do, but it's not even required. A safe place for you, but like I said, here's the deal. Once again, when we're saying make a safe place for you, make us do what the king says, do what Yah says. What did Yah tell you to do? Right? When Yah gets, see, watch this. Yah's your husband anyways, right? He's really all of our husband in the spirit. Let's just do it like this. Yah's your husband. If your husband says move, if Yah told you to move, if you have problems moving when Yah says move, I promise you, you're going to have a problem moving when your husband says move. You see what I'm saying? Make it a safe place for you in the kingdom. If Yah said develop this and you didn't develop it for him, you're probably not going to develop this for your husband. And if so, you're going to have the relationship messed up anyways, because you're not supposed to put anybody before Yah. So that means you make an idol out of your husband if you're not careful. So you're going to make a safer place, a better place, get better consequences and rewards for you when you are already doing these things for the kingdom. Not the other way around. Now I'll start doing it when I get the reward. Right? Was Yah telling you to be married before he found you? You know, these are the questions that we had to ask, right? So I won't get too much deeper into that. I'm just saying, this is the way we have to look at these things, these items, this mindset. That's right, works without faith. So if I have faith in it, then I got to start working it. I got to start working it because the more I work to make the kingdom safe, the more I work to make myself safe because I live in the kingdom. If we were next door neighbors, you know why I want to make sure your children are safe? Because when your children can be in the street safe playing, it means my child can be in the street safe playing with them. Ladach Shemayim, what's the kingdom? The kingdom of heaven is what we're talking about. Ladach Shemayim. You said excellent advice. So how does one correct this behavior where the word says, should a person start? Which behavior? I'm sorry. No shade. I legit, I don't know. You're talking about marriage. You're talking about which one? I've talked about a lot of different things. So you got to help me. I'm sorry. Right. But like I said, a big thing is going to be to recognize this needs to happen every day. Of being a wife and a husband. Well, yeah. So we got to figure out. Do we know how to define it? First of all, if we're dating, we're already out of the word. If we're living together, right, we're already out of the word. You see, if we develop the kingdom, if we let the kingdom be there, then we start already putting in place where some of this stuff starts taking care of itself. It corrects. It auto corrects, if you will. Right? A lot of us don't like autocorrect, but the kingdom wants to autocorrect. It's automatic. There's a thing. It's not really. Well, yeah, it's automatic. The system is there. It's systemic. It's systematic. It was purposefully put in place by Yah that if we follow it, it works by itself. Right? When you wear a watch, I know there's modern watches too, but let's say you got an old school watch. You said not dating at all, plus rejected the ring. Okay, cool. So we're there. I'm just saying. So in general, then, right? There's some things that are there, but I'm just saying, yeah, in the kingdom, or get back to the watch example real quick. If I put on a watch, I'm putting on the watch. Why? I'm putting on the watch because I want the watch, or the watch is going to basically tell time. Correct? There's minerals, there's precious stones, all types of stuff inside the watch. Correct? If I'm using my phone, if I'm using my computer, if I'm using my laptop, my Mac, my whatever, my MacBook, whatever the case might be, right? There's precious stones, all this stuff. This thing is designed to operate on its own. Even when I turn it off, right? It still keeps time. It's still connected. There's stuff that's still happening no matter what. It's never really truly off because it's the way it's designed, right? Because of the way it's designed. Thank you. We do a marriage session. Elder Alma and I do one on social media. My wife and I do one on social media on second Saturdays, and then on the Sunday following, we do like a think tank on it, and we do some Q&A basically on Zoom. Prayerfully, we'll get our Zoom fixed. Should have been fixed like 5 days ago now. Anyways, so but yeah, so we do some of that stuff as well. But and thank you for the reminder about that, moderators and Minister Shante. But yeah, so if we're talking about even a wife, like what is a wife as far as our culture? In our culture, somebody has to be pre-qualified. That's why it says he who finds a wife. And in our culture, you teach marriage from birth. This is stuff that we haven't been taught, just like the Aleph Ba'et or the Aleph Bet, which is where we get the alphabet from. We don't even know the characters. So you'll read, like, so for example, you read Psalm 119. Psalm 119, every 8 verses, it starts off with telling you a character. Aleph, that's father. Right? Bet, that's the son. Gemal, that's humility. Dalet, that's the door. He, that's Holy Spirit, etc. Right? And so you'll read Psalm and not even Psalm 119, not even realizing that all those 176 verses are teaching the 22 characters. So every child should not only know the 22 characters, because that's like knowing your ABCs, but every child should also know the meaning of it. They should know Psalm 119. Same thing with marriage. From childhood, we raise in threes, right? So really before even the child is born, but let's say just say ages 0 through 3, you teach a child that they're a boy or a girl. That's it in our culture. This is not everybody's culture. That's fine. I recognize it. I'm not trying to make sure everybody has to bow down to it. But in our culture, ages 0 to 3, you raise a child learning that they're a boy or girl, right? So in our culture, once again, ages 0 to 3, you raise a child up that they're a boy or girl. Ages 4 through 6, you start to have the girl get closer to mama and the boy be weaned from mama, not just off the breast, but we're talking about not spending as much time. Why? Because ages 7 through 9, they are an apprentice. Daughter is an apprentice of mama, son is an apprentice of daddy, right? Ages 10 through 12, you start to educate the child heavily, right? So what you call school and stuff, we really start digging in deep. We already can start some of that stuff, but we do homeschool and stuff, and we really digging in deep as much as we can, right? Then ages 13 through 15, you start training them on what it is to be an adult, right? That's why you have the bar mitzvah or the bat mitzvah at age 16. Ages 16 through 18, you train them on what it is to be a husband and wife. Ages 19 through 21, you teach them what it is to be a mother and father, and then you give the boy his inheritance. And right, and he starts to do what he's doing, and you protect your daughter. She can still have a job and work in your business and all that stuff, but you begin to make sure that she's protected and stuff at home and things like that. Then when she's found by her husband, then, right, beloved, let not your heart be troubled, believeth in the Father, also believeth in me. In my Father's house there were in many mansions. If it was not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for thee. That's a marriage scripture, because the husband is supposed to leave, right? Or he's supposed to, or he's once he finds a wife, he then goes back to his father's house. he leaves the land that was his inheritance, comes to his father's house, and he begins to build what's called a mansion or an add-on to his father's house, specifically so that when him and his wife are married or lay down with each other, they'll be able to live there with each other. While he's doing that and preparing a place for her, right, which means he has to learn about her while preparing the place, she's putting oil in her lamp, which is a sign that she every day is preparing herself for her husband. All the families involved, the nation, the country, etc. We're all involved with it. Paperwork's been done, etc., right? So the whole concept that we even have as far as marriage, which in our culture, sex is marriage, marriage is sex. Once the two become one, you were married. So the way that we look at marriage, and by the way, that's even in the West too, consummation of marriage. If your marriage is not consummated, it doesn't count. So there's a lot of stuff that happens that persons are just not aware of and how it's supposed to work, right? You said, what about homeschooling? So homeschooling is something that we just suggest if we know it's not possible for everybody, but we try our best to suggest it. We're getting closer and closer. We actually have some stuff being put together by some SOC members as well to help us out legally to make sure that if you are going to join us, that make sure that you're doing properly what you're supposed to do within your state. But, homeschooling is something that we think is necessary. Well, not think, it's something that's part of our culture, but also is very necessary in a system in which children are being trained correctly. Right. When children are being schooled correctly, you're going to have a problem. Children are taught to lie and to lie very well. Who am I? My name is on here, whatever. Right? I changed lives one mind at a time of being the voice of the voiceless. Right? That's a start for you. But if you'd like to learn more about who I am, you can always listen. And if that's where you say, hello, how are you doing? Right? But when we go into this place, you have to realize children are taught in school quite a bit to lie. Right? So when it comes to that stuff or whatever, like for example, who's the first president? It's not George Washington. Who's the first black president? It's not Barack Obama. Right? Donald Trump is president 45 and 47, but he's president 45. You know, and I know somebody will say, well, that last one, you're being, but I'm just saying we're taught to have half truths, and a half truth is always a whole lie. Right? A half truth is always a whole lie. So, in doing these things, we have to recognize that your children are being taught to lie. So, what's one of the best ways to make sure that you take care of that? You teach your child. Right? That's just what's one of the best ways to make sure that we can teach our child. And by the way, when we homeschool, you do it as a society, as a community. And I'm not just talking about in Israel, even homeschooling, there's a lot of parents that come together and figure things out with each other, or even work with school systems to help them to develop their children in ways, because not everybody knows everything. So even at SOC, there's going to be some times where, a lot of the teaching will be Elder Amma and possibly myself, and maybe even Solomon doing some things, but there might be some things you guys know better. So guess what? Hey, can you help out? Or hey, we use this, to supplement some things. We might not know how to get them right with this and that, but if you can pay for a month $10 a week or whatever, if you can afford to do that, hey, there's this program over here that'll help with the mathematics stuff. Or this program over here helps out with science. Or hey, there's some YouTube videos. Or when we come through, we might want to do this. Or hey, in the state of Alabama, there's da da da. Or in the state of Maryland, da da da. Or in the state of California, there's different things that you can do as far as homeschooling. But we believe in homeschooling just simply because of checks and balances. We see what happens with the child, the average child that goes to school, even the above average child that goes to school, even the below average child that goes to school. All of them, we see what the school system does. So why not make sure that we take care of our children ourselves? Which is scripture, by the way. Right? But we have to make a safe place for that. We want to make a safe place for you. See, by improving the community, improving the kingdom, improving the nation that we're building, improving the kingdom of heaven, improving your brother or sister, you improve yourself. So that's one of the reasons why, I want to see y'all successful. That's why I'm always talking about, hey, support each other's business. Why? Because real talk, if you support each other's business and your businesses grow, you don't think mine doesn't? Right? If we're buying clothes from each other, right? You don't think that me having clothes that others like and stuff like that makes me look different and doesn't do things when I step in the room? Real talk. You don't think that me eating healthy when you're selling healthy things isn't going to help me to improve my life? I'm not trying to be selfish about it, but at the same time, there's a difference between being selfish and self-centered. I want to see my brother win. If my brother wins, I'm winning. Because if we're really brothers, when he's winning, then he gonna make sure I'm winning. So if I'm sowing into him, he should be sowing into me. If my sister's winning, then she should be sowing into me. And if she making sure I'm winning, I should be sowing into her. And if I'm gonna give my best, then she should give her best. And if her best or his best is not where mine is right now, cool. Guess what? I used to not be that great at what I did too. So let me help them to get their stuff up. And let me be honest with them. I can give constructive criticism, not making them feel bad. But fine, let's do some constructive criticism every once in a while. Hey sis, hey bro, your product would probably do better if you did that. Or hey, when I'm getting stuff from you, I actually prefer blah blah blah. Like yo, if I get this from you, hey cool, I'm with you now, but make sure you get your stuff together. Your presentation ain't all that. Like I'm your brother, so I'll take it to you if you give it to me in a hefty bag. But somebody else, they might want a logo, they might want to see this, that, whatever. Especially if they're gonna be paying you a grip for it or whatever. Like make sure that is in order, right? But we come together as family, and that's why you do it family first. See, a lot of y'all be talking about all these other persons and they buy and all this stuff and how they got this advantage. They were buying from each other for so many years that they perfected the craft. So by the time it got to you, you're getting what they perfected over years and years and years. You're at a disadvantage because you're even at a disadvantage in your thinking. This takes time. It takes love. It takes development. It takes sowing. Right? They develop. There's things. There's other groups and other units and other communities that they've actually developed relationship with, and now they have their thing going on even with others, and they know who to go to for this and who to get this from and what they can do within themselves, what they can't do within themselves. They already have this. They developed this for a long time. We're not willing to go through the development process. But you got to make a safe place for you. When you develop the community, you're making a safe place for yourself. When you develop the community, you're making a safe place for yourself. How you doing, Sister Nikki? Right? So in making a safe place for you, it's going to take a lot. It took a lot for you to end up where you are. It's going to take a lot for you to end up where you're headed. And that's all right. See, we got to make that a point to say. It's going to take some time. Right? It's going to take some time. But watch this. It's going to take some time. But beloved, just because it's going to take some time doesn't mean that it's not worth it. Right? That's what and really what you'll discover is when you realize how worth it really is, that's when you're going to start putting that time in. That's when you start putting that labor in. Right? My marriage matters. And so I'm going to put in the time. It matters. Right? I ain't at 1 year, 2 years, no more, nothing like that. I ain't at 5 years no more. I'm not at 10 years no more. My marriage matters. It matters. And so I put time into it. I put effort. And so when persons be like, well, how do y'all deal with this? And how y'all do you know how many books I done read? You know how many books my wife and I have read together? You know how many shows I've watched? You know how many spiritual fathers and mothers I've gone to asking questions? You know how many persons I've hung out with who have been together 30, 40, 50 years? I'm watching a couple right now in my life who I have mad love and respect for, and who always had mad love for us. And the wife, she's dealing with dementia. And I'm watching a husband love his wife through dementia. I pray that not be my situation, right? I don't speak that of my own religion. I'm just saying I'm watching a man give a level of love that I didn't really know how to qualify. I didn't know that existed. I knew that there were persons who did it, but watching it personally, especially somebody who's been in 50 years with somebody, for them, 64 years, 65 years before the dementia set in. Now at about 67, 68. I'm watching it before my eyes. How you doing, Sister Audrey? I'm watching a man. I'm checking in on him, even though I'm not even around him as much as I wish I could be. I'm watching from afar, and he don't even know it. He's focused on loving his wife, still making sure she goes to services because they was that couple that was in church every day, all day. Still making sure he's trying his best, trying to make sure she's dressed, Making sure the one that could cook and feed him, he feeding her. I'm watching. I'm learning. You hear what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, you got to be sitting at somebody's feet. Even that's for you too. But I'm watching. See, and so I'm not saying, look, I watched my father. I'm not speaking ill over my family. I'm just telling you the examples I've had. I watched my father love his wife. Her in when I was 6 years old, be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. By the time I was 9 years old, she was falling down steps. I watched him make sure that he changed our living situation, worked 2.5 jobs. His main 2 jobs, Library of Congress, federal governments for insurance. Second job, library at the University of Maryland, supervisor at both, and getting that state insurance. Making sure that his wife was taken care of. Traded in the 77 Corvette. I'm sorry, excuse me, 77 Camaro. Traded in the 77 Camaro and hard top and all that stuff. And she didn't even want him to, but he made sure he traded it in and got a van and got the van decked out on the inside so he could make sure that his wife could get to and from. His wife was a Jehovah's Witness. He's not even a Jehovah's Witness, but he made sure that he took her and her children to and from service. He made sure that even though he wasn't Jehovah's Witness, if there was a convention, we were going to the convention and he was going to get us there. If he had to drive 10 hours, leave us there, drive 10 hours back, by the way, we were there 3-4 days, basically going to convention and then being in the hotel and being on vacation, being at the beach and stuff. He's sitting up there working and working and working and working. That's what I've seen. He made a safe place for his family and ultimately made a safe place for himself. You don't think there's a place in heaven for somebody like that? Yeah, that's a husband. See, so when I be talking about this stuff, and persons are like, no, I'm like, I'm locked in. That's my example of being a husband. I've seen my father not date. I'm not even saying this is biblical. I'm not even saying you have to do this. Hear what I'm saying though. My father has not gone on a date or has not laid down with any other person, right? Any other woman. Make that clear, right? He has not laid down with any woman since my mother has passed. She's been gone now over 20 years. He's in his 70s. Still faithful. Go over the house. Go see the ashes as soon as you come through the door. That's his wife. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. If we're going to make a safe place, he made a safe place for his family and now lives like a king, does whatever he wants, can spend whatever he wants, has all types of stuff. He has his inheritance stuff together to give to the family members of his choosing, all this stuff. Lives like a king. But he put in for years. And by the way, his own family didn't like his wife, cut him off. He was like, because I'm rolling with my wife. Her family didn't like him either. It was a colorism thing. She was too light bright, he was too dark skinned. But you hear what I'm saying? But they worked it. See, they worked it. They had faith in it, but then they had to work it. And my mother, going through multiple sclerosis, worked it as best she could, ended up slowly going through a place where she started dealing with dementia at the end. But every time she had a chance to love her husband, when she snapped to, she loved him. I'm telling you what I seen, what I was raised on. And even though it wasn't 100% the word, I can't say that they didn't show me some things, that didn't teach me more about some things. See, so if you got to make a safe place for your environment, see, by him loving his wife the way that he did, he allows me to start loving my wife properly. And I'm not 100% there, beloved, but hear me when I'm saying that's a great example. That's a great example. She had a third child. Right after she had the third child is when she started having issues with her memory. She passed away young, and the third child doesn't really remember her. He doesn't really remember his mama. And my father, who was very rough with me as a young firstborn, and was very nice to the secondborn, his daughter, right? Which is what daddies do. I'm not mad at it. But with the youngest one, I saw him change his whole way of being, because he was like, mama's not there, but I'm going to honor the position of mama by trying to make sure, bare minimum, I get him motherly figures in his life, but also I'm going to make sure that some of the things that I didn't do with the others, I had to do for him. Like I've seen, even after death, him being faithful to the community, to the family. So when you see somebody talking about marriage, it's because I saw it. That's just because I saw it. That's what I saw, right? And even though him and I had a rough relationship coming up, and he was working 2.5 jobs, to be honest. But I used to always be like, he was never there. He was never there. He was working. I didn't understand it when I was younger. When I got older, one day I realized, I was talking to Am about this. I said, all the pictures, because my mom hated pictures, and then she got sick when I was still young. When I was like 12 or 13 is when she started fading a lot more. And she was pretty much, well, she passed away when I was 18, 19, somewhere in there. And I was like, all the pictures that I have, because my mom hates pictures, so she didn't even put cameras. She didn't even take pictures. She doesn't like pictures, right? And I was like, all the pictures of me, that's my father. And I was like, so when there's pictures of me playing basketball, when there's pictures of me in marching band, when there's pictures of me just out somewhere, when there's pictures of me with my mom, whatever, even if she's trying to get away from the picture and trying to turn her head, when there's stuff was up, when there's us on camera, whatever, when he bought it, or rented back in the day, rented the camcorder. I'm like, he had to do all that stuff. He had to take off work. He had to find, in a day that he had like not even 30 minutes to himself, he had to find a crack in his schedule to be there. And in my mind, he wasn't supported, but he was always there. And he loved us and made a safe place for us, right? And he doesn't. Well, I think I hope he realizes, it's his love that allowed me to get to a place to where I can love my wife, love my son, and love others. If it's not for my father, there is no SOC. I hope he hears that. I really do. I hope he hears that. I hope he, Dad, I hope you're listening. I know you'll be watching from time to time, apparently. I hope you heard that. Right? But I'm just saying, if it wasn't for my father, there is no SOC. Yeah. Mm. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to turn so old to my father. But without him, there is no SOC. Real talk. Without him, I don't know if I really try to develop into a husband. I don't know if I know how to work hard for your family. I don't know if I would have the work ethic that I have now. So, in all that being said, we need to make a safe place. My father taught me about making a safe place for those that he loved, even if he had to sacrifice. And the safer place he made for us, the safer place he made for him. You know? So, I hit you with, I'm trying to get away from these tears. When I hear people say, and they be in the middle of that, I'd be like, you trying to stop crying, ain't you? But, it's real talk, though. I realize, and I'm thankful and grateful for his sacrifice. He's a living sacrifice. Now hitting you with your nose. Let me get my speech back together. Okay, so, but, I'm not trying to run away from it. Just being honest. He had an extreme impact on my life. He still does. And so did my mother. So did my siblings. So does my wife. So does my family. So does my son. You know. But we learn from these things. We grow as a community. And we need each other. Ultimately is what I'm trying to get to. We need each other. And we need to recognize that Yah has put us in these positions. And so make a safe place for others. And watch you make a safe place for yourself. Right? My father will never have to worry about his son trying to lay hands on his father, no matter how angry or frustrated or whatever argument we might have, because he raised me safely. And when he made a safe place for me, he made a safe place for himself. Real talk, you know. So, you know, it's just it's a lot going on and things like that. But we have to make a safe place for you, and you have to go through the process of making a safe place for you. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. So you got to go through the process of making a safe place for you. You hear me, beloved? It's okay for you to make a safe place for you. It's all right for you to say, I'm going to put a safe place together for the kingdom, and it's all right for me to say that I should benefit from what I put into the kingdom. Right? It's all right for you to benefit from your works. That's what there's positive consequences that are coming your way. There shall be a crown, but don't only think about the crown that's coming. Think about how you live with the crown on your head. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Barak is the head. Barak at-rash, that wears the crown too. And don't think of all the stuff that we only talk about, which is usually a holdover from chattel slave mentality, that you are only supposed to be used. You're only supposed to be on the bottom. You're supposed to be worked and worked and worked to the bone. You're not supposed to have a thought process of benefiting. It's not about me, but it does affect me. You hear what I'm saying? Can I say it like that? Is that okay to say? Like, it's not about me, but it does affect me. So I say, it's not about you. Yeah, you're right. It's not about me, but it does affect me. How you doing, military business? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? So, yeah, you're right. It's not about me, but it does affect me. It's not about him, but it does affect him. It's not about her, but it does affect her. It's not about you, but it does affect you. Sow into the kingdom and sow in such a manner and help to build something that does become a safe place for anybody that walks in it. Because if it's safe for anybody, then it's safe for you. And by the way, if it's safe, the safer it is for the more persons that it is safe for, as we become a people, the more persons that it is safe for, that means the safer it is. Because in order for it to be safer on a multiplied level, the safety has to multiply. Right? That's a simple one, right? Simple statement. It's a true statement though. If we want more persons to feel safe, then guess what we have to do? If more persons shall feel safe, then that means that the safety requirements have to multiply, have to extend to a place to where everybody can feel safe who's in the kingdom. Now I gotta be now see, once again, this is hashtag a safe place. This is not for everybody. Not everybody's going to do what is required of them to qualify or even to accept and receive the safety that Yah gives. Yah wants everybody. It's not his will that any would perish, but all would have everlasting life. That doesn't mean that it is your will, though, to follow his. Hmm. If I could just throw that in there real quick, right? So don't chase persons down trying to make them feel safe. Uh-oh. Okay. If I'm on gate guard duty, Minister Shantae, I don't know if you've ever done gate guard duty, but you've been sentry before. I know there's a couple others of you who've been in the military as well, right? So tell me if I'm lying, right? Call me out, okay? I'm serious, right? Right? But if I'm misrepresenting, make sure, because I want to give this truth. If I'm supposed to be on gate guard duty, and I'm supposed to be at gate 5, okay, you've been on gate guard duty, okay, so you know what I'm about to say. If I'm supposed to be at gate 5, if we went somewhere to another country and the CBs built a whole base, right? Or let's just say whatever, I'm in Naval Station Norfolk, I'm in Pearl Harbor, I'm wherever, and I'm on gate 5. Gate 1 is not my responsibility. If something happened at gate 1 and they say everybody needs to come, I can't just leave gate 5. We're going to have to at least close it down or something first. But gate 5 is my responsibility. If I hear something on the walkie-talkie about gate 5, I'm not going to start trying to figure out, gate 1. I'm not going to try to leave gate 5 to get to gate 1. Okay, why am I saying that? Because I can't chase down things that are not my responsibility. And some of you are trying your best to chase down persons that are not your responsibility to keep safe. I'm sorry for the wind if you guys can't hear me. I know the wind's picking up. Right? But if I'm at gate 5, I got to keep gate 5. Right? I got to watch, guard, keep gate 5. That's my responsibility. If you say no, but we want you to come over and blah blah, no, I don't get to just leave, right? Not without proper protocol being in place and everything being followed, and I have to shut down or secure where it is that I'm supposed to make sure it's secure. But hear what I'm saying? I don't leave my place. Some of you are chasing persons in your life, and you're leaving the place that's safe. Watch this. At gate 5, I'm responsible not only for making it safe for everybody at gate 5, I'm also responsible for making it safe for me. If I leave gate 5, I've actually left the place that allows me to be safe. Did you know that? I don't care if you carry a weapon with you. I don't care if you got your baton. I don't care if you got your M16. I don't care if you got your 9. I don't care if you got your shotgun. I don't care if you rolling around. You probably shouldn't, but you're rolling around with an M60 somehow. I don't care if you, whatever stuff we were using at the gate. I don't care if you got your spray. I don't care if you got your belt. I don't care if you got your uniform, your camis, your body armor, whatever the case might be. I don't care. Like, gate 5 has also been designed to ensure you are safe. And the way that they have everything positioned around the base, you are safe there. When you leave your post, right, especially if you leave it unmanned, but if you're leaving your post, you are leaving it unsafe, unguarded, unkept. That's how that works, right? And a lot of you are chasing things that are not your responsibility. Gate 5, your position, your calling, your family, your responsibility is for you, and it keeps you safe. Can I help you with something, beloved? You know one of the reasons why a lot of y'all be out here sinning the way that you do? You ain't got to admit nothing. Don't put your hand up. Don't tell me, right? don't tell me what you doing, right? Don't tell nobody your business. But you know why you be dealing with that sin? Is because you're not safe in your work. If you were busy in your work, you wouldn't have time. So I'm just trying to help somebody. If you were busy in your work and keeping your work and keeping the word, you wouldn't have time for it. What they say about an idle mind? What's that saying about an idle mind? I forget what it is. Right? But I be too busy sometimes. And I'm not even busy enough. I'm trying to reconfigure my life so I can make sure I get certain things in order. But I'm not as busy as I used to be honest with you. When you say idle mind is the devil's playground. Thank you. The idle mind is the devil's playground. But you're sitting up here because you're not doing your work. And you know when you in your work, because in your work you get excited. You'll forget you ate when you in your work, or you haven't ate when you're in your work. There's a whole story about Beyonce. She was getting ready for a thing, and they had been practicing for like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, something like that. And she had forgotten she hadn't ate. She wasn't trying to fast. She just was doing what she do. And since she loves what she does, she just was like, oh yeah, that's right. Dang, I ain't even eat yet. Wasn't like she wasn't putting in work. Wasn't like her brain wasn't functioning. That's cholesterol leaving. Wasn't like she wasn't dancing and stuff. She, muscles could be getting stripped and strengthened at the same time while also losing fat and stuff, which also can make one hungry and stuff like that, right? She's tired, blah, blah. She's not eating, she's not sleeping, but she's not worried about it because she's in her work. Now, somebody might say that's not supposed to be her work, but I'm just using that as an example. Right? Appreciate you, right? You hear what I'm saying? But a lot of us are so busy in everything else and chasing after everybody. And hey, you guys aren't believing, and you guys aren't doing, and you're not doing for me, and you're not helping, and you're not blah blah. And hey, do you like me? And do you agree with me? And will you spend this day with me? And will you spend this time with me? That's not your work. Somebody help me out. What does Psalm 1:1 say that you should be like? Or Psalm 1 say? Psalm 1. I'm sorry, I said Psalm 1:1. The first division of Psalm, what does it say? That you should be like a what? How you doing, Cole? Thank you, Giovanna. I'm sorry, I missed you said it. How you doing, Bucks and Bones? Right? That you should be like a what? What should you be like? How do you benefit? When are you supposed to be in the kingdom? You should be like a what? A tree planted by the rivers of water. Does a tree move? Somebody gonna get tired. Oh yeah, it sways. No. Does a tree, when it's planted? I know that you've seen a bunch of stuff that's been popping up on social media, and as far as I know, 100% of it is inaccurate, right? And it's stuff that literally has been traced to see. They've actually seen behind, they can read, even when somebody loads something up, they can see where it came from, who made it, right? So a lot of that stuff is there. But if you still believe that trees are getting up and moving, I do know that trees can sway towards persons that ask them to. That seems to be a real thing. I've seen that happen with Elder Alma, but I want to keep it practical for a second. I know mystical things can be a thing. Just stay with me for a second, right? You should be like a tree. The tree don't move. If the tree moves, it dies. Sorry to use that language. I know I'm not supposed to use that but so many times, but on TikTok especially. But hear what I'm saying. The tree, if a tree moves, it dies. Is that if a tree falls over, right? It's done. It's planted, right? It's rooted. You're supposed to be like a tree. How is it that as soon as something bad happens, you keep uprooting yourself? Every time you uproot yourself, and yes, you can eventually be planted back in the ground if you know what you're doing with the tree, but you keep uprooting yourself too many times, you're not going to make it. And you're supposed to be planted, by the way. So planted means somebody put you there. Come on, right? But if you're planted by the rivers of water, for you and the nutrients that you need, that's about as much safety as you need. That's as much safety as you need to get. You shall be like a tree. It didn't say you should be like the seed that comes out of the fruit, or the seed of the tree that floats, that spins, and does the helicopter thing. It doesn't say you should be like the tree, the leaves of the tree that wither away. No, you should be the tree itself. There's seasons for leaves, and there's seasons where leaves go away. There's seasons for friends, and there's seasons when friends go away. There's seasons for male and female trees to be together. There's seasons when they're not. You should be like a tree. Just because the season changes doesn't mean that you stop being a tree. There's trees to where the magnesium leaves the trees, and that's why the chlorophyll leaves the tree, right? There's seasons that happens. Shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the water, right? We shall not be moved, right? You shall be like a tree. So why is it so easy to knock you down? The enemy don't even have to use axes. You just knock yourself down. You just knock yourself down. I can't do, I won't do. Blah. Where's the safe place for you? You're a tree. Where's the safe place for you? You're a tree. Where's the safe place for you, tree? Where's the rivers of water? Where's the rivers of spirit? Where's the currency? Where's the flow in your life? Why is it that, and by the way, if you're a tree planted by the rivers of water, you're not going to be around trees that aren't around the rivers of water. Hallelujah. How you doing, CPC? You know what I'm saying? If you're a tree planted by the rivers of water, that means that you're not going to be around other trees that are not planted by the water. Why are you upset that trees that want to be in the Sahara Desert are not around you, around the rivers of water? You're in the Amazon, mad at the tree that's in Greenland because it's not spending time with you. It can't. What fellowship is light with darkness? What fellowship does the tree in Greenland have with the tree in Brazil? You hear what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Like, oh, this tree doesn't want to be here. Yeah, it can't. Matter of fact, the tree can't be here. It's not a safe place for that tree. Well, the cactuses don't want to hang out with me. Yeah, they don't want to hang out with you. You in New York. Cactuses don't stay outside in the wintertime. You in Buffalo. It's cold as I don't know what in Buffalo right now. What you talking about? You in Chi-Town. Mad that the tree, mad that the neem tree is not trying to hang out with you while it's over in Nigeria. Yeah, it's in Nigeria. You ain't on the equator, beloved. You somewhere else. That tree can't handle where you are. Why would you ask that tree to come where you are, knowing that that tree would die? That tree's not even born again yet. It can't handle what you're going to do. It can't handle what born again persons can. It can't handle giving their burdens to the Most High. That's why they keep their burdens. Let it be. There's some trees that, right? I don't have any examples here right now, but there's some trees that you can see here. Matter of fact, if you look close, there's some trees that you can even see some green things. Most of anything that's green right now, if you find, I don't know which, depending on what camera angle you have, you may or may not be able to see. They cut off some of the stuff. This used to have like a whole thing of vine behind around it. This is like owned by, I think owned by the city or owned by the property that I'm on. But basically, this used to have a vine. It would all be green, but you can still see there's some places that are green. Even some places you can barely see around here, but you have to look really far. There's some places that even have green on top. Anything that's green right now on this, now there are evergreens, but anything that's green right now, the only reason it's green is because it actually is not even part of the tree. It's something that's trying to suck the life out the tree, right? But if somebody were to try and get it off, they would look for anything right now that's green because it shouldn't be green in its season if it's part of these trees. And some of you are trying to make, and some of you don't realize that you made an unsafe place because you have things attached to you that seem like they're green, but the only reason why they have any life is because they're sucking the energy from you. You're supposed to be saving your energy in this season, so come springtime, you'll have that much more. These things are trying to exist off of you to the point to where they have no life within themselves, and you can tell because the things that are vampiric, sucking the life out of the tree, they're sucking the life out of it due to the fact that it's not, that it shouldn't be green in this season. It's not a safe place to have things that are green when you're not green. It's not a safe place to have it to where persons are sitting up here sucking the nutrients out of you and you're dried up in the season, but here it is that they living the life off of you. And you can't see it when, once again, when everything's going well, when it's springtime, when it's summertime, even when it's fall, you don't really notice it. But when you look and all of a sudden it's the wintertime and it's time to where, hey, things are drying up, but somebody else is still making it off of you. You got to realize that you're a tree and you're associated with the wrong thing. That's not the tree. You will think that that's the tree, but that's not the tree. That's something else. Oh my greatness. Is somebody catching it? That's not the tree. That's not the tree. When you see the green that's way up top, and you see nothing on there, but you see a little green up top, that's mistletoe. Mistletoe, it's like a parasite. It stays green. That's not the tree. That's something sucking the life off of the tree. And you have to be careful, see, because you think it's a safe place, and because persons come around you, and you're like, man, whenever this person's around, they see, but they take it and 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 take it. In this season, look, it's okay for all of us to go through things. It's okay for all of us to get to a place to where, hey, every once in a while, we all can be dry together. All the roots and everything, they're still getting nutrients, but in this season, they all need to shut it down together to ensure that all of them. A lot of persons don't know this and I used to think this too. I even used to teach this. I had to repent of this teaching, where like, you know, the taller the tree is, the deeper the roots are, and that might account for some trees, but most trees don't do that. Most trees, when they get to a certain level, they'll actually start getting to a place where they start to expand, right? More so than they start to go deeper, and they'll start to connect with the other trees, especially of the same species. If you ever get a chance to go to the redwood forest, it's a blessing if you ever get to go. It's awesome. Well, there's trees that are taller. I'd say like definitely some of the tallest trees in the world, and definitely some of the biggest trees in the world, right? If you've ever seen it, it doesn't exist anymore. It finally fell apart. But if you ever saw that tree that you could ride through, right, and it had this, had the huge like half circle, and you even saw a lot of cartoons and stuff, and they would like go through this tree or whatever. That was a real thing. It fell apart recently, but it's a blessing. But when you go there, you'll learn that these huge trees actually start to spread out. They don't go deep, but they spread out, and they actually connect with one another, and they talk to one another. They have conversation. And so like if there's a forest fire, what you'll discover is trees that are nowhere close to the fire yet start to actually like start to do things together, and start to even like do things, and even animals will see the trees having this conversation like or doing certain things, and the animals start to run before the fire even gets close. Not just because they can sense the fire, but they can sense that the trees are trying to protect themselves. Right? It's an awesome thing to discover and even look at, right? They have these conversations with each other, and they go through things. And so you make a safe place so the trees have conversations, and they try to make it safe. And if one tree is going through, all trees go through. If one tree's not getting enough nutrients, another tree says, hey, you need to keep living, and will give some of the nutrients that it has through the roots to another tree. That's community. That's nature. That's natural law. That's the laws of nature. It is a natural law that you would take care of your brother or your sister. Be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that in your season you would have much fruit. But even when you're out of season, stay connected and stay connected to each other. Even when you're not making the money, stay connected to each other. Even when you're not getting the views, right? So there's a lot of stuff that we put our stuff in, and we think, oh, this is what makes me great, and this is what, but do you not know that in this community, yes, I love your gift. I love what you have to offer. I love the different things, but I love you. And if you haven't heard that enough in your life, let me tell you, right? Like, I love what you have to offer. I love the great things that you bring. I love what you bring to society. I love the gift that you have. I love the effort that you put in. But hear what I'm saying. Even if you ain't got supposedly, even though you always got something to give, but even if you're like, I don't have this to give, I can't do the same like you said, I still love you. God loves you. And by the way, it's just not your season. But when it's not your season, we're still connected at the root. But you got to be by the rivers of water. Do you hear me, beloved? But you got to be at the rivers of water. But you got to be at what? At the rivers of water. I can't connect with you across the country. I'm not talking about virtually right now. I hope you're getting the context. I'm talking about the tree. I love you, but I can't connect with you if you're not even in the same place. I can't connect with you and have conversation if we're not connected in the same spirit. I love you, but I can't spend time with you if you're said you're going to be right. You're going to be doing wicked acts, right? If you're going to be wicked, I'm going to be righteous. We can't even be in the same category. Be mad at me all you want. I'm telling you the truth. We can't hang. What fellowship has light with darkness? I can't even hang around you, because the second I do that, anybody connected to my root is infected. This is why also we bear one another's burdens, because if it's your burden, it's my burden, because we're connected. There is the weakest link of the chain is the problem. If I'm trying to get in and if I'm trying to go back in the day and be a thief and a robber, and I'm trying to get into your stuff, guess what I'm looking for in the fence? I'm looking for the chain, the weak link. I might not even have to cut anything. I might not even have to risk making a sound if I know there's a weak link, or I know there's a hole already. If there's a hole, that makes it easy, right? So that's what that weak link on the chain is. If there's a rusted part of the chain of the fence, hey. If there's a hole in the fence, hey. If there's a hole in the ground where the fence is supposed to be, hey, it's you making it easy. We need everybody to be on board, and everybody to be locked in, and everybody to be. It doesn't work to its fullest potential if it's not. This is interdependence. It's a must. Interdependence at the max is a must at all times. We're not going to become what Yah says if you're going to try to sit on the sideline. If you're sitting on the sideline, by the way, doesn't mean you can't get in the game. Right? I'm about to be off on Tuesday or Wednesday. That means I'm sitting on the sideline. Doesn't mean the SOC doesn't run. Get in the game. Just because your business is not the one that everybody's seeing right now, get it together. Because there's going to be a time where we're going to say, hey, we need to get the stuff from you. There's gonna be a time where it's gonna be like, yo, everybody in Louisiana gonna get everything from you. Everybody in Texas gonna get everything from you. Everything in Mississippi, everybody in Mississippi getting from you. You did? You did. Nah. But you get what I'm saying, right? How you doing, G? This is a family affair. This is an Israelite affair. This is a nation affair. This is a heavenly affair. And so right now, once again, start working in what you have faith in. Well, I have faith that if I was better with money, be better with money. Somebody says, oh, well, it's not that easy. No, no, no. Okay, fine. You're right. Be disciplined. Well, I'm not disciplined. That's the problem. Okay, take it day by day. Today, what are you going to do no matter what? What you mean? Today, what are you going to do no matter what? I don't understand. Okay, what you going to invest today? I don't have anything there, but can you invest a penny? Yeah. It's okay tomorrow. Can you invest 2 pennies? Yeah, where are you going with it? Well, can you invest 4 pennies day after that? I don't get it. Well, so far you've invested 7 pennies. Let's just say you're saving. Can you save 7 pennies? Yeah, but I still don't understand. Okay, fine. The next day, can you save 8 pennies? Well, yeah, what you mean? Well, now you got 15 cents saved. What am I going to do with 15 cents? Keep on going. Can the next day, can you put 16? Now that's 31 cents. Can you do 32? That's 63 cents. Right? Can you do $1 in can you do a $1.20 save? Can you now save the next day after that $2.40? Can you do the next day after that? I know I messed up somewhere, but just roll with me. Can you save $4.80 the day after that? Can you save $9.60 the day after that? On top of that, and just not touch? Can you do that? Guess what? You just little by little before you know it. Wait a minute, I got a little bit of stuff. You know, it don't take that long before you get to 100. If we would just started with pennies. Imagine if you started with dollars. See, we're talking about discipline. Faith the size of a mustard seed grows into a tree. I don't know. Come on, Holy Spirit. I didn't even see that coming. That went all the way back to where we started from. Those of you who've been with us the whole time. We went right back pretty much to the start. Look, faith the size of a mustard seed. If you can do it with a penny, imagine what you do when it turns into $1. If you can do it with $1, imagine what you'll do with it when it turns into 100. If you can tithe with 10 cents, if you can tithe a penny, imagine what your tithe will look like when you're tithing out of $1,000. If you can offer up 1 minute of your day, imagine what your day will look like when you give an offering to Yah of 3 hours. If you can offer up time to make somebody else's business grow, imagine what'll happen when you have time to do nothing but focus on your business. If you can offer up time to go into debt that you're still paying off to make sure that you get educated by somebody else, imagine what'll happen when you start educating your own child. Look up compound interest when you get a chance. Look up some videos of compound interest. See what happens. By the way, compound interest it's a mathematical equation. It's not, it happens. Salah. Look up compound interest. Once it starts, you can't stop it. There's famous stories of janitors of our persuasion, right, who literally became millionaires. Compound interest. Yah says, give, and it shall be given unto thee. Allah comes measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For the same measure that you meet, that you apply, that you help meet, that you give, that you're interdependent with, shall it be given unto thee. And by the way, it says you as an individual will give, and the society, men, will give into your bosom. You should be like a tree. There's somebody that's going to come here when the fruit starts growing, looking for certain things. Right? There's persons that will come and forage looking for certain things. Right? This house done been broken down and all this for years and years and years. And yet there's persons like myself who come and see beauty in it and say, hey, I like to go ahead and sit here or whatever, right? Somebody invested, there's something that will grow all over this, and there will be animals that will come and forage. A lot of times, matter of fact, because I'm talking, sometimes even when I talk, they don't come behind me when I do it, but there'll be deer and stuff that are all around here. You'll be like, deer, even in the wintertime, they come here. What are they looking for? They're looking for things that grow. And just because nobody else sees the growth doesn't mean that it doesn't grow, right? When you eat cinnamon, you eat tree bark. You don't even think about it. But somebody saw tree bark and realized that you'll eat it and realizes that it's actually healthy for you and righteous for you to eat. And so guess what? Somebody took something that you don't even think about and turned it into something that feeds their family. By feeding you, the diaspora, but the community, by feeding you, they feed themselves. It also meant then guess what? They had to plant more trees to make sure that they make more money. They had to get back to the environment. They had to protect their investment in order to make sure that you eat. In order to make sure that you give. And you give so that they therefore can take care of the environment. It's a community. It's interdependent. So I really don't have much to add. I think that's it for me for today. Thank you everybody who came for Early Rising Bible Study session. I'll see you all this evening. I'll try to reach out to some of you to make sure that we, have some conversation or at least set up some stuff. Thank you all for being on. If I don't see you this evening, I'll see you on Thursday for Thursday Rising Prayer and then for the live session. But it's time for me to take my leave for now because Holy Spirit said it's over. So I have nothing else to add to that. When Holy Spirit says turn it off, it's time to turn it off. So thank y'all for being on. Love you to life. We'll try to do a shout out. You guys who know how the shout out works, feel free to do what you do. Yeah, just thank you for being on. Thank you for spending time with us. I know it's a little windy, so prayerfully you'll be able to hear everything all right from wherever you are. If you want to be part of the shout out, you got to come over to TikTok to join us for that. Thank you everybody though for being on once again. We appreciate, love you. We hope that you guys continue to do well, and we honor you all. Thank you again for spending some time with me, and prayerfully I will see you this evening on TikTok, Kofi_43, Kofi_42 on TikTok, and on prayerfully we'll see you on YouTube as well. Thank you all again for being on, and you guys have a great day. Stay warm, stay committed, and continue to make a safe place for you, and allow that to happen through what? Make it a safe place for the kingdom, safe place for the diaspora. When there's a safe place for you to be inside of, then you ultimately make a safe place for you, right? If you build a house, you get to live in what you build. So, love you to life. Hopefully, you got something out of it. I know it was like all over the place. It felt like, but now I look at it, Holy Spirit had us on track. So, thank you all. Appreciate, love you. Continue to do great things. We will talk with you guys soon. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to them for my wife, the Honorable Alma, who lives a life that is able to be honored. As always, check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist. Biologist by degree. Love you all to life. You all take care. And until next time I have a chance to be before you again, remember as always that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, take care, and if I don't see you this evening, we'll see you on Thursday. Peace.